What's going on? What's going on, everyone? Happy to have you here today. Good morning. Good morning. Ashley, good morning. Maria, Emily. What's going on? Jonathan, what's going on? Callie, Jolie, Jonathan, Summer, Deb, Dano, Kristen, Leah, Tammy, Angry, Tracy, the shit, Michelle, Lee, Leah, Johnny, Brittany, Paisley. How is everybody doing this morning? We got some business happening this morning. Some interesting stuff going on today in politics. RFK Jr. is about to get confirmed, ladies and gentlemen. So, one of the more disturbing of the nominations that we've talked about, one of the most disturbing of the nominations that we've been talking about is about to happen. The one we have long feared, Emily says, someone gifted me a sub. I don't know who it was, but I want to say thank you to whoever it was. There were a bunch of people that gifted there were a couple people that gifted 5 subs. So it was probably them. I would imagine it was them. Guys, I would appreciate leaving a thumbs up. You know the way this goes. Hold on one second. Let me fix something here. Okay. Let's see. So this is ugly, obviously. There's going to be a lot of angry people today, a lot of upset people, a lot of scared people. Because this is probably, this, in my opinion, one of the most dangerous things that's ever happened to this country today. Which is that RFK Jr. is going to be in charge of Health and Human Services. And look, we've talked about, in what capacity, what power does he have, essentially. And he has quite a bit. So this is very, very serious. Very, very significant. This is, in my opinion, this is our country headed in a completely different direction. And it's not in the direction of science. It's not in the direction of science, which is something I never imagined in a million years I would see in my lifetime, is this country move in the opposite direction of science. The opposite direction of science, people. This is horrifying. This is terrifying. I thought about this all morning this morning. I looked at my child and I thought, what a disservice the adults have done for the children in this country. Donald Christ Trump says, end obesity, RFK. Oh my God. Donald Christ Trump, bro. Bro, your name is Donald Christ Trump. Guys, I've made this clear and I'll make it clear again. You have got to stop making your names like this. Donald Christ Trump is diabolical. Donald Christ Trump is outrageous. That you literally made that your username. That you actually sat down and said, I'm going to make my username Donald Christ Trump. Like, that should carry a jail sentence. That should literally carry a jail sentence. Dude, I swear to God, like, people are still trying to figure out YouTube. Apparently, people didn't use YouTube. Some people who watch me, I don't know. But, like, I'm live right now. And someone just posted, I have no idea if this is live or not. Well, I'm live right now. You got to click the live button. You got to click the live button, guys. Come on. Like, does it get to a point where we're kind of like, you know, it's got to get to a point where eventually you figure it out. You know what I'm saying? Yes, I am live right now. This is live. Hence why it's live and it says live. What's up, Rocky? Are you alive right now? No, you actually passed away in 2020. When COVID happened. This is all a dream. That's why there's literally someone in the chat with the name Donald Christ Trump. Did you ever think you would see the day where someone's name was Donald Christ Trump? Like, that guy sat down and made that name. That guy sat down, fully conscious, and made the name Donald Christ Trump. You can't make this shit up. You just can't. See the day. This is where we are. RFK confirmation today. This is just a devastating direction our country is headed in. I'm kind of trying to let people get in the live here before I fully go off on it. Jesus, I hope you're right. This is all a fever dream. I wish it was, Ashley. Guys, by the way, I am monetized now. You can send super chats. You can send super chats. You can become a member. You can do all of these things. I just set a live goal for super chats. So if you want to become a member of my YouTube channel, you can do that now. You know, we have Tadpole, Muppet Masher, and Mastermind of Muppetry. So I would appreciate the support, obviously. This is where I'm, what I'm building now is my YouTube. We're almost at 8,000 subscribers now, which is pretty damn good for YouTube starting out. And we'll be at 10,000 before you know it. So I'd appreciate the support. If you can, I just put a goal up there. So this is where we are. Obviously, he's going to get confirmed. This is the Senate vote. And then basically we can kiss science goodbye in this country. We can kiss science goodbye in this country. People, did you guys see the clip? Did everyone see the clip of X, Elon's son, telling Trump to shut the fuck up? I didn't even notice that. We watched it live and I didn't notice that. Morgan says everyone remembered X out of the chat and hit the thumbs up. Yeah, always. And I think people are doing that. Typing in the chat too. Does it help when we watch the ads all the way through your videos? I don't get so. It doesn't matter if you skip them or watch them through. I don't think. Either way, it pays me. So, what's going on? Yeah, pretty soon, guys like Trump Christ are going to be able to come up. I'm setting up a server. Basically, there's going to be a link for public whatever. People can come up and talk to me. That's coming probably this coming week. I might have it done by this weekend. I do not know, but we're going to have basically a public server. So when you want to come in and talk to me, you basically go in this server and I drag you in. That's it. Amy, thank you for the $5, says, Adam, I appreciate you going live every day. Amy, thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate you, Amy. I appreciate you, Amy. Thank you so much. Laura Shockley, thank you for the $10 super chat, says, where are all our major Democratic leaders? It feels like they just abandoned us. That's what it feels like. That is what it feels like. It feels like we have been left out to dry. But I'm going to tell you right now, I don't know if any of you feel this way. After this election, I feel like I've been completely radicalized. Let me explain. But I feel like I've been completely radicalized and I do not know where I belong. I do not know where I belong. And obviously there's more to that than just saying radicalized. I don't feel like I belong to either political party or either side. You know, I feel they're both incredibly flawed. I think the left is very unserious about winning elections. I think the right is fascist. And I don't know where to go other than to just follow my heart on each individual issue and not try and align myself at all with a political party. Just, look at each issue independently and give my analysis on it. I don't know any other way to go about politics going forward. So, look, things are going to be a lot more harsh. I was already considered a harsh person in terms of my analysis of politics. It's going to get more harsh. It's going to get more harsh. So if that bothers you, see ya. Thank you while you were here, but things may get a little rough. You know, I'm bitter. I'm angry. I'm pissed. I'm furious. And so things are going to get ugly over the next 4 years in here. They're going to get ugly. They truly are. So if you haven't seen it yet, Hegseth, Pete Hegseth, essentially said Ukraine is not joining NATO. By the way, for all the MAGA folks who told me this wasn't going to happen, where the fuck are you? You guys told me there was absolutely no way that Trump was going to surrender territory. Who's the guy who told you Trump was going to surrender territory this entire time? Who told you the only way to solve this war, was to cede territory and basically give Putin whatever he wanted? And that's exactly what's happening, ladies and gentlemen. They are bowing down to Putin just weeks into the administration because Donald Trump wants to fulfill his promise that he can stop this war. He's a short-term thinker. He doesn't think about the long-term consequences of making Russia more powerful. The precedent you're setting by allowing an authoritarian to invade a completely, sovereign nation. The impact of how China will now look at Taiwan. But ultimately, what the inevitable outcome is, which is, and like we've all said, Russia eventually attacking a NATO ally. And I think the percentage, the likelihood that happens now is higher than it's ever been, ever. Donald Trump, and I'm talking about since the Soviet Union, Donald Trump thinks about things in a 4-year window. I don't think he cares what happens 10 years from now. But you have just made Russia more powerful by giving in. And that's exactly what he's doing. He's giving in. Let's take a listen.
Trump and President Putin interact when the cameras aren't necessarily around. Ambassador John Bolton was Trump's national security advisor in his first term, and it's great to have you here, Ambassador, because you've previously said that you believe Putin sees Trump as what you described as an easy mark. You were there for their first meeting in Helsinki.
You think I think Donald Trump, Christ Trump, is a parody account, right? No, these guys are not parody. They're fucking insane. They were all over my TikTok. I have no reason to believe that it would be a parody. Laura, thank you so much for the $5 super chat, Laura. Appreciate you, Laura. We just hit 3 out of the 15 for the goal. If you guys want to send a $5 super chat and above to help support the live, I'd appreciate it.
What are your expectations for this one?
Well, I don't have any expectations anymore. I think we know exactly what's going to happen. President Trump has effectively surrendered to Putin before the negotiations have even begun. The positions that Defense Secretary Hegseth announced in Brussels, which I'm sure I'd be stunned if Trump didn't convey them directly to Putin in their phone call, constitute terms of a settlement that could have been written in the Kremlin. Maybe they were written in the Kremlin. and got out in propaganda channels. But it's a complete reversal of the U.S. and NATO position on a number of issues. For example, up until today, the official American position was that Ukraine should be returned to full sovereignty and territorial integrity. That's gone. The question of NATO membership as far back as 2008 had been that ultimately Ukraine would become a NATO member. That doesn't look like that's around anymore either. Putin has scored a whole series of victories today. It's hard to encompass them all, but I think one, in addition to these substantive concessions, is that he has now, it seems, exactly what he wants. Putin doesn't want to negotiate with Zelensky. He wants to negotiate with Trump because he thinks he'll get more out of him. And he's absolutely right.
On your point that you just made about not having Ukraine be in NATO, borders returning to what they were pre-2014, which Hegseth said was off the table. If a Trump official was here tonight and they argued, well, that's just being realistic, what would you say to that?
I'd say that if you're going into a negotiation, you don't announce what's acceptable to you before it begins and give away positions. I tell you, I've done a lot of negotiation with the Russians, and there's no country out there that's better at pocketing concessions that you make and then wanting more. We used to joke in Soviet arms control days about a famous Russian negotiator who used to greet the Americans every morning with a jovial, well, what have you got for me today? And that's what we're hearing from Russia. This is something Putin prepared the ground for. You know, last week he said he agreed with Trump that in the comments Trump had made in the election that the war never would have taken place had Trump been president. So he began the flattery campaign, the release of Mark Fogel, the American hostage, part of the flattery warm-up campaign, make Trump look like the center of attention. Belarus's decision to release an American and a couple others, part of the flattery campaign. It's obviously working.
Trump said today also in his own readout of the call that he put out that Putin repeated back to him about using common sense to end the war. Do you think that that's part of that flattery campaign?
Right. Well, there was a tweet or whatever you call those things on Truth Social that said Putin used my very effective campaign slogan, common sense. I think we all believe in common sense, but he noticed that Putin had picked up that line. It's another stroke of flattery. I mean, you got to say Putin hasn't forgotten his lessons as a KGB agent maneuvering an operative around. And there are broader significances than just in Ukraine. This is a palpable harm to American national security, because what Hegseth and Trump did today was not only blow up the NATO position on Ukraine, they blew up a thing called the Belavasia Accords that Ukraine, Belarus, and Russia signed in December of 1991 that broke up the Soviet Union along the lines of the internal republics. So it means that not only is unprovoked aggression by Russia against Ukraine now okay, every other former republic in the Soviet Union is vulnerable to the same thing without any indication that the U.S. will do anything about it. And I think the people who are paying the closest attention to this outside of in Ukraine are in Beijing, where they see the United States unwilling to act against unprovoked aggression in the center of Europe. What are they thinking now about Taiwan?
If there is any chance that this works, when you look at the dynamics here, do you believe that there's a way that this could be successful, that it could end this war that has gone on for as long as it has now?
Well, I think it'll be successful for Russia. It's a war of attrition. Russia's the bigger country. I think 3 years of mishandling by the Biden administration, dribbling out weapons assistance one system at a time after months of argument, prevented a really strategic response to the Russian invasion. So there's a lot of blame to go around here, but the surrender is going to be signed by Donald Trump.
Can I get you just before Trump swore in Tulsi Gabbard this afternoon in the Oval Office? Pam Bondi swore her in, but Trump was there, obviously, inside the Oval. How does that presence as the Director of National Intelligence by Tulsi Gabbard, do you think, shape the Trump-Putin relationship in a second Trump term?
Well, I think Putin couldn't be happier. I tell you, they're drinking vodka straight out of the bottle in the Kremlin tonight. It was a great day for Moscow. I think Tulsi Gabbard's role as director of national intelligence.
I just realized this YouTube shit is so fucking annoying, dude. So they basically send a pin to my address for AdSense, right? Like, so that's what they're doing, right? And they sent it basically where I can't essentially receive mail, right? And like they don't get like, and then they make you wait like 3 weeks. Like, it's crazy how they do this on here for payments. It's fucking insane, dude. It literally is fucking insane. Let me thank the people that send super chats here. Dano says, invites a leader wanted for war crimes to the White House. Make it make sense. Dano, absolutely insane. He invited Kim Jong-un to the White House too. Alicia, thank you for the $5 super chat. Appreciate you, Alicia. Guys, remember, you also can donate. You can support the live on Cash App and Venmo as normal. And I will read it the same way I would a super chat. I actually receive 100% of the what you send over there. So if you do send on Cash App or Venmo, my Venmo's Adam Cray Politics. My Cash App is Adam Cray. I get 100%. And I'll read it the same way I do Venmo and Cash App. This is really serious, but it's not surprising, and it shouldn't surprise anyone. Him bending the knee to Putin was to be expected, and it was part of the reason we didn't want him to get elected. We talked about this a million times. No one should be shocked by this. You should be scared, but you shouldn't be shocked.
It's going to be extremely harmful to our national security. I think many allies are now...
And Tulsi Gabbard now being in charge of intelligence is wild. But what does it really matter? I mean, a guy who stole and shared classified documents to people without any type of security clearance, shared our most sensitive information about our submarines and their nuclear capabilities to an Australian billionaire, is the president of the United States with the highest form of security clearance there is. So does it really matter? Does it really matter who's in charge of intelligence? I mean, does it really matter? If Donald Trump's president, it can't get any worse. So does it really frickin' matter?
Now going to think twice before...
I mean, you could put Barney in there at this point. It doesn't fucking matter.
Before they share intelligence with us.
When you're cooked, you're cooked.
I think it'll impair our ability to gain confidence around the world. It was one of his worst nominations, beyond a doubt.
Ambassador John Bolton, thank you for your perspective tonight.
Thank you.
Also here is the former Deputy Director of National Intelligence, Beth Sanner, and it's great to have you. You know what it's like to be in the meetings for these kinds of calls. We don't know about Zelensky's involvement in any meeting that Trump may have with Putin. We do know that Saudi Arabia is potentially the destination for that first meeting. What significance do you see in that, if any?
The Saudis are definitely playing this very well for themselves because Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman, is saying no to Trump on a lot of things. He's saying no on Palestinians being forced out of Gaza. He's saying no on pumping more oil. And so here's something he can say yes on and be part of a solution. So there's a lot going on with that. But I think that the main thing about this is that this idea of just having Trump and Putin alone negotiating in Saudi Arabia is just a terrible idea. And they really need to turn this into proximity negotiations, just like with Hamas and Israel in Qatar, where they're there but not in the same room. That would be the right thing to do.
So you think it's not fair, or it can't be fair for Ukraine if they don't have a presence, at least in the same building or country?
It can't be fair, but it's also just this whole idea that, as Ambassador Bolton said, one of Putin's main things is that he just wants us to be a negotiation between the two great men, and the pawn on the table is Ukraine. This whole idea of spheres of influence and great...
Hey, Seema, thank you so much for the $5 on Cash App. I appreciate you. Let me just read this really quick. I think you sent something here with the... let's see. Emily says, Putin has culture, Christians is a big difference. For Putin has culture, Christians is a big difference. Seema says, take my lefty money, love your show. Thank you, Seema, appreciate it. Thank you both. I appreciate it. I'm not sure if the other one was new or not. I'm just trying to check to see if RFK's confirmation is there's an update here. I know he's getting confirmed, but so Tina says, so can someone, well, first of all, Charcity, thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher, Charcity. Thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher, Charcity. Appreciate you, Charcity. Says, can someone give me an idea of how war would break out? Yeah, very easily. So Poland is a NATO ally. Poland borders Ukraine. If you allow Russia to become more powerful, in terms of territory, resources, they have a strategic advantage. It is more likely they're going to attack Poland. The United States intelligence has believed that was the ultimate goal all along, to eventually attack NATO. Putin obviously has an issue with NATO. So that's one way it could break out right there, which would trigger Article 5. How soon? I don't even know that it's imminent, but I think that what Donald Trump is doing is he's putting us in a really bad position, right? That we could end up in a really poor position. I think, Trump thinks of things in these 4-year windows rather than looking at things long term. I don't know. It could be 10 years from now. You know what I mean? It could be. Who knows? Who knows? I saw a clip. I want to find it. See if I can find it. Saw Jill Stein talking earlier. I wanted to find it. What's that lady's name, that racist white lady that constantly goes on these podcasts and stuff? What's her name? God, there's so many of them, I know, but there's one that's very specific. What's her name? See if I can find it. All right, this is the clip. So this is the clip we were talking about yesterday, and some people were asking me about it, so I'm just going to play it really quick.
A fascist. Because look, if we're just going to use fascist toward anyone we dislike, all right, then the word doesn't actually mean anything.
Okay, what do you want me to say, Anna? You want me to say wannabe dictator?
Sure, you can say wannabe dictator, but I don't even think he wants to be a dictator.
Of course he does. That's what you do when you lose an election and you go, oh, I got fake electors and I'd like to terminate the Constitution and bring out the tanks and use martial law against American citizens and shoot protesters. I mean, if that's not fascist, then I guess the word just shouldn't exist.
But was he able to do those things?
Trump's
his rhetoric is awful.
Okay, if you don't want to be called fascist.
Yes, we're keeping on the RFK nomination in here. We just had it up.
Stop saying
he's gonna get confirmed. You mean confirmation. He's gonna get confirmed.
It's not that hard.
Okay.
Not that hard. Oh, here, let me have dinner with Nick Fuentes, who's a Nazi, Kanye, who's a Nazi, and let me say there's good people on the Nazi side. Oh, it could be pro-Confederate guys. Might be guys who are pro-slavery who are good guys. Let me do all of these things. Let me say that immigrants are poisoning the blood of our nation, a Nazi term that is only used in the past by Nazis, and then say I'm gonna ban Muslims, I'm gonna do this and this and this to all the other ethnic groups, and then go, oh, I can't believe you called me a fascist. No, he is a fascist. I'm very happy to call him a fascist.
All right.
All right. All right, I'm not gonna get back into it.
No, please do. I wanted to hear the rest of it. What the fuck? So someone was asking me yesterday, how has Anna Kasparian gone off the deep end? If you don't think Donald Trump is a fascist, you're off the fucking deep end. You're way off the fucking deep end, dude.
Welcome back to Live Now from Fox. I'm Stephanie Quinu. I do have some breaking news out of the White House as you take a live look of the White House itself on this snowy Wednesday afternoon, as President Trump has just gotten off the phone with Russian President Vladimir Putin, now inviting him to the United States. And I wanted to share some social media posts that President Trump just shared on Truth Social, and that is this right here. President Trump saying, quote, "I just had a lengthy and highly productive phone call with President Vladimir Putin of Russia. We discussed Ukraine, the Middle East, energy, artificial intelligence, the power of the dollar, and various other subjects. We both reflected on the great history of our nations and the fact that we fought so successfully together in World War II, remembering that Russia lost tens of millions of people and we likewise lost so many. We each talked about the strengths of our respective nations and the great benefit that we will someday have in working together. But first, as we both agreed, we want to stop the millions of deaths taking place in the war with Russia and Ukraine." Going on to say this, quote, "President Putin even used my very strong campaign motto of common sense. We both believe very strongly in it. We agreed to work together very closely, including visiting each other's nations. We have also agreed to have our respective teams start negotiations immediately, and we will begin by calling President Zelensky of Ukraine to inform him of the conversation, something I will be doing right now. I have asked Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Director of the CIA John Ratcliffe, National Security Advisor Michael Waltz, and Ambassador and Special Envoy Steve Witkoff to lead the negotiations, which I feel strongly will be successful. Millions of people have died in a war that would not have happened if I were president, but it did happen, so it must end. No more lives should be lost. I want to thank President Putin for his time and effort with respect to this call and for the release yesterday of Mark Fogel, a wonderful man that I personally greeted last night at the White House. I believe this effort will lead to a successful conclusion, hopefully soon. Another live look right here of the White House as President Trump met with Mark Fogel yesterday, an American history teacher who was deemed wrongfully detained by Russia. He was released and returned to the U.S. in what the White House described as a diplomatic thaw that could advance negotiations to end the war in Ukraine. Now, the Kremlin saying that a Russian citizen was freed in the United States in exchange for Moscow's release of Mark Fogel, but did not.
So let me ask the chat real quick. You tell me, guys, right? Were they in communication? They already had this all set up, right? They already had this all set up, right? This isn't, they're not suddenly communicating. They've been communicating. This is all set up. This is all a show. You know what I mean? This is 100% all a show. There's, you know what I mean? I don't buy this for a fucking minute. This is all a show.
Not identify that particular individual until he arrives in Russia, quote, in the...
What Russia person did he release? Fogel. The guy that we were, when we were live the other night. That guy. The guy we're watching, Fogel.
Coming days. Steve Witkoff, a special envoy for President Trump, left Russia with Fogel, bringing him to the White House late yesterday. We shared video of that exchange, and President Trump welcomed him home. Fogel saying, quote, "I feel like the luckiest man on earth right now," as he stood next to President Trump with an American flag around his shoulders. So breaking news, as we now know that President Trump has invited Russian President Putin to D.C., also saying in his statement that he plans on also traveling to Russia. There was no timeline in terms of when these visits might happen, but according to President Trump, they are working to expedite the end of the war between Russia and Ukraine, stating...
Only 2 minutes and 45 seconds to reach the live goal. If you guys would like to send a super chat. Thank you, Laura, for the $5 super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you, Laura.
that
Yeah, they've had this set up the entire time.
too many as the Senate now debating the nomination of RFK Jr. We'll be right back.
All right, let's check in on RFK Jr.'s nomination real quick. What other president has flown to Russia? When? What do you mean? This is one of the most dangerous frickin' nominations in the history of our country, dude. I don't know. It just deflates me. I'm sorry, everybody. Like, I feel like the wind gets knocked out of me when I see RFK's face because we're going in the opposite direction. We have 1 minute and 45 seconds left to complete the goal. Charcity, thank you so much for the $5. Charcity, keep Putin out of D.C. Agreed 100%. He's got to stop inviting dictators to the White House. He did the same with Kim Jong-un. Pendela, thank you for the $4.99 super chat. Love the show. Thanks for what you do. I have learned so much. Thank you, Pendela. I'm glad you're learning. And hopefully having fun, too. And laughing. Because laughing is a big part of it. You know what I mean? Laughing is one of the central reasons I do this, because laughing is what gets us through and what will get us through the next 4 years, because the next 4 years are going to be quite difficult. Andrea, thank you so much. Loving these live streams on YouTube, Adam. You're forever Muppet. Thank you, Andrea. Appreciate you, Andrea, so much. Thank you, Andrea. Caroline Levitt just said on Fox News that RFK has been in the medical field for decades. What? What? Has RFK done an interview recently? I hate that we're going in the opposite direction of science, dude. I can't imagine being a doctor, like, and watching this all go down. Like, imagine being a doctor and watching this all go down. Summer, thank you for the $2 super chat, says Adam. Appreciate everything you do, Adam. Thank you, Summer. Appreciate you, Summer. Can you imagine being a doctor, though? He's been in the medical field for decades.
With Democrats voting against
You mean on fucking Twitter? On 4chan? He's a conspiracy theorist. He's not in any medical field. And by the way, guys, let me just say this so everyone knows. They're not typically doctors, right? Like, so when you're in that field, you're not typically a doctor because you're just enforcing the law. But he's kind of overstepping his boundaries a little bit. Is it not showing me live? Am I still live? What's happening here? Oh yeah, I'm live. I don't know why it didn't show me live on my page there for a second. No, I swear to God, it's my thing's not showing up, and my icon is not highlighted. That's weird as fuck. That is weird. Micro Kimmy says, have you seen the clip of Elon's son telling Trump that he's not the president and to go away, and then he said shut the fuck up? I have seen that. I have seen that. Let's see if I can pull it up here.
Musk to say a few words, and we'll take some questions. Elon, go ahead.
Sure. So at a high level, if you say, what is the goal of Doge or
does his time as a drug addict count as being in the medical field? No, it definitely does not. Definitely does not.
And I think a significant part of the presidency is to restore.
Although I do prefer you say person with substance use disorder. I would prefer you say that. Person with substance use disorder. I try and stay away from the word addict only because it's a word that I think carries a tremendous stigma. So I try and I try and say person with substance use disorder. But in this case, I'm not, RFK's an asshole. I mean, he's about to ruin our country. So, but Dano, thank you so much for the $10 super chat. I really appreciate it, Dano.
Democracy. This may seem like, well, aren't we in a democracy? Well, if you don't have a feedback loop, FAX, we would have to, if you, it's all right. Tell you gravitas.
This is so fucking weird, dude. You know what I mean? Like what is going on here? This is so gravitas.
This can be difficult sometimes. If there's not a good feedback loop from the people to the government, and if you have rule of the bureaucracy,
this is weird. You know, it's like I don't like. Okay, children. You know, like I don't know, but in this circumstance, it's kind of like, is it appropriate? Not really.
Right. If the bureaucracy is in charge, and then what meaning does democracy actually have? If the people cannot vote and have their will be decided by their elected representatives in the form of the president and the Senate and the House, then we don't live in a democracy. We live in a bureaucracy. So it's incredibly important that we close that feedback loop, we fix that feedback loop, and that the public's elected representatives, the president, the House, and the Senate, decide what happens, as opposed to a large unelected bureaucracy.
Imagine being an unelected bureaucrat.
Anthony Fauci.
Oh, doctor.
All right, so this clip is going to be a different topic, so I want to stop this really quick. But I just want to say this really quick. What's up, Autumn? I want to say this really quick, everybody, okay? Why the fuck does no one call out the fact that Elon... Why did no reporters say, but you're an unelected bureaucrat? Why do no reporters say that? Did you notice that? No reporters say to him, Mr. Musk, why should we trust you as you are also an unelected bureaucrat? Answer, please. Why should we trust you? You're a billionaire. Why should the people trust you? Does the name Luigi ring a bell? The citizens of this country don't trust you. They don't trust you. Why should they trust you? Give us a good reason. I don't know. I'm willing to give people a chance. Give me a good reason. You keep claiming there's all this corruption. You've shown us no evidence of corruption, by the way. Not a single ounce of proof.
Under investigation by state AGs. This is an Outkick story. 19.
This is, I swear to God, I was thinking about this the other day in the shower. I feel so bad for Fauci. Like, this guy is going to get, like, they're coming for this dude. They are coming for him. Charcity, thank you for the $2 super chat. Says the fact that he literally calls it Doge, crazy.
State attorney generals, led by South Carolina AG Alan Wilson, sent a letter to Congress stating their intent to hold Dr. Anthony Fauci accountable at the state level despite President Joe Biden's preemptive pardon. The letter says, although former President Biden attempted to shield potential bad...
They're coming for Fauci. They're coming for him. Regardless of the pardon, they're coming.
Actors like Dr. Anthony Fauci from accountability via preemptive pardons.
It's going to get ugly.
Confident that state laws may provide a means to hold actors accountable for their misconduct. They requested that Congress share any findings of violations of state laws so they can evaluate state-level courses of action. The AGs accused Fauci of suppressing discussions about the lab leak theory and misleading the public on COVID vaccine risk, which...
How the mighty have fallen, Glenn Beck.
They say contributed to an erosion of trust in health institutions. They wrote, Dr.
Is it just me, or does anyone else not really understand what they're accusing Fauci of? It's all over the place. I don't even think they know what they think he did wrong.
Glenn, will anything happen to Fauci?
Yes.
Please.
And I did not believe this. I mean, a year into it, I did a two-night special on just the...
How do we get Adam press credentials? So it's possible, but the problem is like I will be removed immediately. The first question I ask, they're going to get rid of me. Nauseous ambiance. What's going on, buddy?
Stuff that we could find in public spaces that showed the smoking guns everywhere. Now we have the actual data. Now we have a preponderance of evidence, and he's backdated it to 2014. for very specific reasons. This guy has been breaking the law and becoming his own god, and he has to go to jail.
Oh my fucking God. These people they're literally out of their fucking mind.
And I never
Emily Hewitt, thank you for the $5 on Cash App. I appreciate you. I don't know why that just popped up, but thank you, Emily.
thought he would, but under Trump, it's not going to be vengeance. It's not going to be, repaying his enemies. They are looking for the truth between Pam Bondi, Kash Patel, Bhattacharya. They're going to unravel this thing, and he's going to jail, and it will be.
Oh my God, dude, they're literally nuts.
Because of the states, they have a right and a duty to do it.
Vinny,
I'm Glenn. Like I have a list of the top 3 people that I just despise. As hard as this, being a Christian and trying to pray, and I actually have to pray for these people. Yeah. That's the hardest thing I think about being a Christian.
Yeah.
I have to pray that they get their souls intact because at one point they're going to be judged. But he's at the top, and Alejandro Mayorkas have always been at the top, and Pat knows this. He pushed these lies, and like I saw a meme. Imagine getting medical advice from a doctor that needs a pardon for the medical advice that he gave you.
Yes.
That's why.
I knew, and honestly, it's worth it anyway because, Biden's ultimately I really recommend you guys read Fauci's book. Highly recommend it. But beyond that, he did a tremendous amount of work, public service, gave his life to the medical industry, to public service. And they don't really even know what he did wrong or what they don't like. They're just, they have a problem with him because he was the face of, wearing a mask and COVID and things like that. But I'm actually worried for Fauci. I'm legitimately worried. Although the pardon is worth it, Biden needed to do it, these guys, I knew as soon as he gave him a pardon, they were going to say it's because he's guilty. Otherwise, why would you need a pardon? I thought Donald Trump said you can weaponize the justice system. I thought Donald Trump said anyone can get indicted. Right? Wouldn't that be reason for a pardon then? If you can indict a ham sandwich? How many times did you hear Republicans say, you can indict a ham sandwich if you want to? You can indict anyone if you want to.
All these freaking Democrats, all these people. But you remember, Glenn? They would put those pictures of him in front of their lawns, they would worship this demon.
He was the golden calf.
He was the golden calf, and people are like, well, Trump was. He's been around for 7 presidents. But while this is all going on, Pat, Doge announced and Elon that in the past 48 hours, HHS canceled 62 contracts worth $182 million, and one of them was, ready for spending, $168,000 contract for an Anthony Fauci exhibit at the NIH museum. They're like,
he's a god.
Put that, that's going down. And then the one more thing that I saw, it was Lauren Boebert was having a House Oversight Committee hearing, and they questioned Justin Goodman. He's the senior vice president at the White Coat Waste Project about the National Institute NIH funding research that involves, they were implanting tissue from aborted fetuses into lab animals, so abortions, that's why they're so pro-abortion. He confirmed that such studies have been funded by the NIH, specifically mentioning Dr. Fauci's NIH allergy and infectious disease. That's
He's
what
a
he
monster.
was doing. That's what he was doing. Pat, you want to hear this clip?
Yeah, of course.
This is it.
Implant aborted baby parts into lab animals. Have you heard of that sort of research?
Yeah, we did an analysis a few years ago showing that over 90% of experiments with using human fetal tissue and putting them involved animals were funded by Fauci's NIAID.
Do you know where they're getting the aborted human fetal tissue?
Universities?
A lot of it is happening at colleges and universities that have affiliated hospitals that perform that
Pro-abortion, kill your
Madam
babies,
Chair,
because
I
guess
think we
what?
need
We
to
need
look
to
into
use
that
them
as
for
well.
experiments on animals.
And what is and honestly, when you look at Fauci and what he was starting to do in 2014, what he really started it with Dick Cheney right after 9/11, almost all of these, there is no medical reason to do these experiments. They have not made medicine better. They're not making us safer. In fact, the opposite. They are making things much, much more dangerous in the world. Where is the medical evidence that any of this was good and useful. You can't even make that argument.
Zero. And the only comfort that I could have, Glenn, and I was thinking about this yesterday, for the rest, because they took away his security detail. He's finished. He has to pay for his own security, which is good. For the rest of his life, Glenn, anytime he looks out of a window or he's outside in public, he's always going to be like this. At least I have that comfort, because how many people's lives he ruined, how many kids' lives have been ruined, and how many people freaking died that they couldn't go to their grandfathers' and grandparents' funerals because that scumbag knowingly knew what he was doing.
Well, I hope that nothing happens to him except he goes to jail.
No, I want him in prison for the rest of his life, but he's going to be nervous.
That's Glenn Beck making sure he doesn't get fucking criminally prosecuted for inciting violence against someone in government. Listen, how is that his fault that someone's grandfather died from COVID? How is that the fault of Fauci? Am I the only one that's so confused by this bullshit? And by the way, this guy says, I hate that I have to pray for people. Oh, that's really Christian of you. You hate that you have to pray for people? You hate it? Yeah, that's very Christian. Dude, guys, you have to understand, this is the left. This is who the left is. This is who they are. This is them. We got to stop pretending they're anything but this. This is the left. They're insane. I'm sorry, this is not the left. This is the right. Sorry, not the left. This is the right. This is who they are. We have to stop pretending that they're anything but this. This is the right. This is who they fucking are. Erica, thank you so much for becoming a tadpole, Erica.
Everywhere he goes for the rest of his life.
Well,
Tom.
Yeah, when everybody on social media that says, oh, he was pardoned. Well, let me give you a constitutional lesson. No offense. Article 2 of the Constitution points out that the president can grant reprieves and pardons for crimes.
Ambler goes, I was like, wow, the left has changed. No, this is the right, though. We have to stop pretending they're anything but this. Guys, this is not the radical right. This is like a modern day Republican that we're listening to here. This is why I listen to them. First of all, they're fucking insane, but we need to know what they're saying and what they're doing.
Crimes against the United States. And there are multiple...
It's so important people see this insanity. Like, there are people out there that are like, I don't watch anything on the right. What? I watch everything the right puts out. I watch everything they put out. Any right-wing political show, I watch. Any right-wing Fox, from Fox News to Patrick Bet-David's podcast to Tim Pool, I watch it all. I absorb it all. But it's made me more effective in being able to debunk their talking points.
Precedents.
Guys, if you'd like to support the live, you can by sending a super chat. You can also send a Venmo and Cash App. Honestly, Venmo and Cash App is maybe even better at this point, too, because I'm still waiting for my AdSense thing to clear. But, yeah, you can do the same thing. I read it the same way as I do a sub chat. My Venmo's Adam Cray, politics, one word. My Cash App is Adam Cray. I obviously would appreciate the support. That's how I'm able to do this. Same as before.
Where the state attorney generals banded together. They banded together against Google and price fixing until it was taken up to the Southern District of New York by the federal government. So the states have the purview and the ability, as well as to work in parallel. Really, Vinny, so you're in Arizona, I'm in New Mexico, and we have a hoodlum who's committed crimes in both and says, wait a minute.
A hoodlum? What the fuck? A hoodlum? What is this, 19 fucking 18? He's a little hoodlum. Don't let him come over. His friend's a hoodlum. A hoodlum?
Our indictment is word for word the same as your indictment. Tell you what, we'll wait for you, but as soon as you're done, then we're going to try them here. I'll give you an example. You have...
those little hoodlums. Jesus Christ, what is this? Are we still wearing wooden fucking shoes, dude? What the fuck?
You know, the hashtag Me
He's
Too.
such a hoodlum.
Harvey Weinstein. He was tried where? In New York. And who stood down and waited for the New York case? California. But soon as it was done, who had to have his old wrinkled butt put on a plane?
Makes me want to tear up.
I'm going to the next one. I don't give a fuck what
My
they have to
business
say.
has tripled in the last year because of me sharing my videos on TikTok.
They've lost their fucking mind, dude. I swear to God. They're out of their freaking mind, man. Straight up.
The Democrat machine's been smashed to pieces, and they don't have a mechanic with the tools to fix it. Nobody watches liberal media. Lawfare's dead. All the hoaxes have been debunked. Cancel culture's canceled.
By the way, you guys know this guy was disinvited from his family's Thanksgiving. Holy shit. Can you imagine your mom calling you up and being like, hello, sweetheart. I love you, but you're an asshole. You're not allowed at Thanksgiving. We're not having you over for any stuffing this year, dear. We love you. We love you bunches, but you're a fucking radical right-wing nut job, Jesse. We can't have you over for Thanksgiving. You're gonna have to stay home. That literally happened. I swear to God, his mom called him and was like, yeah, don't come to Thanksgiving. You're problematic. His mom's a Democrat. His mom's a straight up Democrat. He's like the kid that just wants to like be a contrarian, you know?
And the left can't censor you.
We are all willing to work with anyone who's serious.
But it's so important. Like, this is what America is consuming. People talk about us having a problem with media. This is what they're consuming. No wonder they're fucked up.
About doing the work of censoring the American people and advancing progress.
Democrats lost their weapons.
Killer Fuzz in the chat says, Adam is not the measuring stick for sanity. He's not of maturity either. And you're not of like fucking how to structure a sentence properly.
Their protests are lame. The only one getting giddy is Matt Al.
At a Tesla dealership showroom thing in Manhattan. Sort of a big crowd turned out there with very good signage. This is a pretty good one. Bad Doge. I've been wondering if we should why do we say Doge, right? Like, why are we playing along with the joke and their framing of it?
Dude, I so agree with this point. Why the fuck are we doing this? Why are we, like... I said this from the beginning, and I love that Vivek Ramaswamy is literally pretending now that he didn't... that he didn't get kicked out of Doge. So if you guys don't know the story, right? Elon and Ramaswamy meet in a restaurant. First time they ever met. And they start discussing what they could do together if Trump gets elected. They end up staying in that restaurant until like 1 or 2 o'clock in the morning, and they come up with the idea of the Department of Government Efficiency, not necessarily the name or whatever. And they approach Trump with this name. It's like tricking dad, like trolling dad. Like I'm not even sure Trump gets the joke. Hey, oh my God, he doesn't even realize we just named it Doge. You know, like he's your father and you literally tricked him into naming it Doge, right? It's a troll. Elon Musk is a troll. He likes to troll the American people. That's what that Nazi salute was. That's all the stuff that he does is to trigger the liberals. He loves it. He feeds off it. I think he finds motivation in the criticism. He loves detractors. He loves people criticizing what he's doing.
There's just as much of a case that we should be calling it dog-y.
Schumer told us Democrats were getting aroused, but it turns out people are pissed.
Wait,
the top brass at the party's mad at liberal groups that keep calling.
Wait, what'd she say? Call it doggy?
Why do we say Doge, right? Like, why are we playing along with the joke and their framing of it? There's just as much of a case that we should be calling it dog-y.
Well, they don't do doggy. They don't get any. So why would they do doggy?
Schumer told us Democrats were getting aroused. But
oh my God, that's outrageous. Did she actually say that? She should be canceled. Oh my God. What should we do about her?
It turns out people are pissed. The top brass at the party's mad at liberal groups that keep calling congressional offices, telling them to fight harder. One Democrat answered the phone and said, just call the Republicans, please. Democrats have given up until the midterms, but Morning Joe isn't buying it.
I'm a bit frustrated when I hear about how helpless Democrats are because they're in the minority in the Senate, because they're in the minority in the
Autumn says Doggy's my favorite.
House. I keep hearing about how the poor Democrats are so helpless, they can't do anything. No, they're elected, and they're elected to do just this. I mean,
Holy shit, I thought that was the guy standing outside the Department of Education for a second.
The minority in the United States Senate always has power.
The only thing sure.
Hopefully Rational says, I used to have Dogecoin. Are you a Bitcoin person? Are you a crypto person?
Could cook up to fight Trump was
You know what's actually flying right now? Is actually a reasonably decent investment, but you have to watch it all the time, is meme coins.
state snitch line where people were supposed to rat on Republicans, but it backfired. Chuck's been flooded with reports of insider trading, relationships with Chinese spies, and complaints about Fauci. Oops. No one's listening to Democrat leaders, so they're calling in their kids for backup.
Oh, God. Hopefully Rational. Thank you for the super sticker, $5 super sticker. Thank you, Hopefully Rational. Appreciate it.
Tim Walz's daughter's on the front lines.
Signing an executive order that pertains to 1% of the population is not protecting women, and it's loser behavior. I have never felt unsafe around a trans person. I have felt unsafe around men. So maybe let's deal with that.
You feel unsafe around men? That's why Trump's keeping them out of your locker room. He's going to protect you, whether you like it or not. But there's a small, feisty group of people that want to change that. Worcester, Massachusetts, held a vote on whether it should become a transgender sanctuary city.
Normally, I would say good evening, but through the chair.
So when you guys watch this, right? I made 7K and then quit. Yeah, you can make a ton of money on meme coins. A ton. But can we just point out the fact why it's the way it is? Why the country is as transphobic as it is? Why the country is the way it is? This is what they're consuming. This is what the right is consuming.
I will only impart my sour grapes.
My name in drag is Dee Dee Delight. And my name out of drag is Dewey Cosgrove Atienza.
My name is Pastor Julie Payne Britton. I use the pronoun she.
Let's see if our RFK's vote has come in. Is it done? Are we done? Is RFK confirmed?
Mr. Budd, aye. Mr. Ossoff,
What's happening
Mr.
here?
Ossoff, aye. Ms. Baldwin, Ms. Baldwin.
That's it, ladies and gentlemen. We're screwed. That's it, ladies and gentlemen. That's it. He's confirmed. We're donezo. Senate confirms RFK Jr. as the Health and Human Services Secretary. The Senate voted on Thursday to confirm RFK as the HHS, a victory for President Donald Trump, obviously, and a loss for the American people. 52-48 vote. Along party lines, though Republican Senator Mitch McConnell of Kentucky once again joined the Democrats to oppose the nomination. Wow, rare W. Mitch McConnell in the chat. At least Mitch opposed it. What is that? Is that the third cabinet candidate Mitch is opposed now? That's got to be the third. I think that's the third nominee that McConnell has opposed. McConnell has opposed 3 of Trump's cabinet picks. That speaks volumes. That's a Tea Party Republican. That's what the Republicans used to be. Mitch McConnell. Not our friend, but definitely not Donald Trump. Not a good guy, but less evil than Donald Trump. I want to say he opposed Gabbard, too. And Hegseth. It was either Hegseth or Patel was one of the two. But I know that he opposed at least 2 more of them. At least. Jeez, that's fucking scary, people. That's scary stuff, people. Scary stuff.
Do now have the tape playback of President Trump inside of the Oval Office taking questions from the media. Let's listen in on Live Now.
Wants peace and President.
All right, this is this stuff where he mentions the Russia stuff. I know we got distracted for a second, but let's get back on this topic as it's probably the most significant thing that's happening right now outside of the RFK confirmation, which is the United States is going to give Russia exactly what they want, which is something we have warned against this entire time. This is extremely dangerous, extremely scary. I'm telling you, people, the significance of this is hard to describe. This is really, really serious.
President Zelensky wants peace, and I want peace. I just want to see people stop getting killed. We're very far away from that particular war, but that's a vicious war. Probably 1.5 million soldiers killed in a short period of time. I've never seen anything. I have pictures that are, you wouldn't believe it. You wouldn't believe what you have to look at. Young, beautiful soldiers that are just being decimated. And it would be nice to end it immediately. But we had a very good talk with, people didn't really know what President Putin's thoughts were, but I think I can say with great confidence he wants to see it ended also. That's good. And we're going to work toward getting it ended and as fast as possible. It's a horrible situation going over. It's flat land, and the bullet goes off, and the only thing it can hit is a body, a human body, a young human body.
I knew he was going to do this. Like, it should be no shock to anyone that this is happening, but I knew it was coming.
And they're losing just tremendous numbers of mostly soldiers. The cities and towns have been largely demolished. It's a shame what's happened to that country. It would have never happened if I were president.
Bullshit.
I can tell you, would have never happened. It's to look at that. And October 7th would have never happened either, by the way, the Middle East.
Not true. October 7th largely happened because of the Abraham Accords.
But we'll get it. I think we'll get it. We'll get something done. We're going to be meeting. Actually, tomorrow they're meeting in Munich, as you know, and we're going to have some other meetings. And I'll be dealing with President Putin largely on the phone, and we ultimately expect to meet. In fact, we expect that he'll come here, and I'll go there, and we're going to meet also probably in Saudi Arabia. The first time we'll meet in Saudi Arabia, see if we can get something done. But we want to end that war. That war is a disaster. It's a really bloody, horrible war.
You said with Saudi Arabia, the first meeting will happen.
I think so. We think we're going to probably meet in Saudi Arabia, the first meeting. Hasn't been set, but not too distant future.
Will you also be part of that meeting?
We both understand, we know the Crown Prince, and I think it'd be a very good place to meet.
So it sounds like that would just be a meeting between you and Putin and perhaps the Crown Prince, but not President Zelensky?
Probably we'll have a first meeting, and then we'll see what we can do about the second meeting.
Did you also commit to go to Ukraine?
What about Ukraine?
Did you commit to go to Ukraine?
No, I haven't. I haven't committed to go to Ukraine. I would think about going. Yeah, I'd think about it. No problem.
Say today, Mr. President, that they received your...
So you'll think about going to Ukraine, but you'll invite Vladimir Putin to the fucking White House? Holy shit.
What is your plan to end this war? Like today, Secretary...
Well, I'm not going to tell you my plan. I can just tell you we've made a lot of progress. This should have been done by Biden, not by me, because this has been going on for now a long time, years. And it should have been done by Biden. Just like the young gentleman that I brought home yesterday after 2 weeks. We worked on it for 2 weeks. He was a fine man, and he was in there for 3.5, almost 4 years. And they weren't able to do a thing, and I got him out. And as you know, I didn't pay $6 billion. I didn't pay anything. We did a trade, and we did a good job. We got him out in 2 weeks. It should have been out years ago. It really should have been out years ago.
Oppose NATO membership for Ukraine?
I don't think it's practical to have it, personally. I know that our new Secretary of Defense, who's excellent. Pete made a statement.
Somebody asked in the chat, isn't he a felon? He can't leave the country. He has what's called diplomatic immunity. When you get elected president of the United States, you have diplomatic immunity.
Today saying that he thinks it's unlikely or impractical. I think probably that's true. I think long before President Putin, they said there's no way they'd allow that. This has been going on for many, many years. They've been saying that for a long time, that Ukraine cannot go into NATO. And I'm okay with that. I just
What? Oh my God! They're gonna tell Ukraine they can't go in NATO, and what else are they gonna tell Ukraine? That you have to surrender territory? This is despicable.
want the war, whether they are or they're not. But it certainly would seem to be that most people have said that that is something that's not going to happen.
Ed Johnson says, "Good job, Trump." Okay, Ed.
Easing out President Zelensky of this process a bit. Isn't there a danger of that?
No, I don't think so. As long as he's there, but at some point you're going to have elections too. You're going to have an election.
He says he wants security assurances, Mr. President. What does that look like?
In terms of what?
If the war were to end, he says he wants guarantees of security.
We'll see what that means. I think when the war ends, one thing he was very strong about, if it ends, he wants it to end. And that's President Putin said that. He wants it to end. He doesn't want to end it and then go back to fighting 6 months later. We talked about the possibility, I mentioned it, of a ceasefire so we can stop the killing. And I think we'll probably end up at some point getting a ceasefire in the not too distant future.
Do you expect Ukraine?
Say it, what?
Do you view Ukraine as an equal member of this peace process?
It's an interesting question.
If I'm Zelensky right now, chat, what are you doing if you're Zelensky right now? You getting out of, you got to think of an escape plan, right? These guys are both working against you. Trump's not on your side. What's your plan? I'm coming up with a plan.
I think they have to make peace. Their people are being killed, and I think they have to make peace. I said that was not a good war to go into, and I think they have to make peace. That's what I think.
Why did you decide to provide support to Ukraine?
Heather, thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher. Heather, thank you so much, Heather. Welcome to the Muppet Mashers.
Do you support Zelensky ceding territory or exchanging territory in any agreement to end the war?
Well, he's going to have to do what he has to do, but, his poll numbers aren't particularly great, to put it mildly. He's got a country where, it's been savaged and attacked, and he's got an army that's been very, very...
By the guy you support. By the guy you support, Muppet.
Very brave, actually, despite the fact that, we've given him, in my opinion, $350 billion. That's what the real number is. You don't hear that number. And Europe has given, in my opinion, $100 billion. And they've done it in the form of a loan. And I have a Secretary of Treasury right now who's actually quite brave. He's over in Ukraine on a train. And there's a lot of things happening around that train that aren't so good. And he's going there to get a document done where we're going to be assured that we're going to, in some form, get this money back, because we're putting up far more money than Europe, and Europe is in far more danger than we are. We have an ocean in between. Europe has nothing in between. You know what they have in between? They have Ukraine in between. So wait a minute. So, as you know, Europe is putting up money, and they're getting it in the form of a loan. And the United States under Biden didn't do loans. They just handed money every time somebody walked in from Ukraine. They just handed them money foolishly. This should have never happened. It should have never started. And once it did, other things should have happened. Other things should have taken place. So we're getting security on our money. We're going to have it secured by, they have rare earth, and they have oil and gas, and they have a lot of other things. And we're asking for security on our money.
So does it mean you are not sending any more
They've agreed to it. Ukraine has agreed to it.
Does it mean you are not sending any more aid to Ukraine?
No, we are, but we want it secured, and the money is going to be secured.
When will the U.S. stop sending funding? When will the U.S. stop sending funding?
Because if we didn't do that, then Putin would say he won. We're the thing that's holding it back. And frankly, we'll go as long as we have to go, because we're not going to let the other happen. But President Putin wants to have peace now, and that's good. And he didn't want to have peace with Biden.
Is this guy serious? Putin wants to have peace now? He started the war. People, this is not real life, dude. Oh my God. This is not real. Putin wants peace now? Well, wouldn't that then be, like, if we're thinking strategically, wouldn't that be the point that we put the pressure on? Like, we have him in a corner and you're going to do what? Cede territory? Putin wants peace now. Jesus Christ.
Was that conversation with Putin?
And you tell me why that is, okay?
Was that conversation with Putin to start these negotiations part of the deal to bring Fogel home?
No, but it was a nice thing that...
That's why I'm telling you, they have been talking. There's so much more that meets the eye. Like, there's so much more going on here that we don't know about, dude. So much more. They've been talking this entire time. They've had a plan set up this entire time. Similar to what he did with Netanyahu, right? He was accused of having private meetings with him about, refusing to accept the ceasefire. These guys had this stuff planned the entire time.
He allowed Mark Fogel to leave. In fact, Mark is...
Let's not do it all at once so it doesn't look suspicious, but they already had this plan. I guarantee it.
Wasn't feeling well, but he was, all of a sudden, about 2 weeks ago, he started being treated very nicely. He said they took him out for haircuts. They took him out. They helped him out a little bit and made him feel better, made him look better. And they were nice to him. And he said, I saw something happening, and it coincided with when I came into office.
Yes, everyone is so afraid of you that they immediately started taking better care of him.
So
it's because you're buddies. It's not because anyone's afraid of you. It's because you're friends, you're pals, you're Leos.
That was nice, and he's a fine person. He was so happy to be out. He was there for 3.5 years plus. And he shouldn't have been there at all. They should have had him out much faster than that. Wait, go ahead, please.
Sorry, sir, just to be clear, do you see any future in which Ukraine returns to its pre-2014 borders?
Well, I think Pete said today that that's unlikely. Right?
There it is, ladies and gentlemen. No chance that they return to their borders prior to the annexation. What a joke, dude.
It certainly would seem to be unlikely. They took a lot of land, and they fought for that land, and they lost a lot.
Oh, my God. This is not real life. Listen to what he's saying here, people. Absorb this. Listen. This is serious shit.
Well, I think Pete said today that that's unlikely, right? It certainly would seem to be unlikely. They took a lot of land, and they fought for that land, and they lost a lot of soldiers, but it would just seem to me, and I'm not making an opinion on it, but I've read a lot on it, and a lot of people think that that's unlikely. Some of it will come back. I think some of it will come back. Yeah, some of that land will come back.
Who
are you with? Yeah.
AFP.
You who?
AFP, Agence France Presse.
Okay.
I just wanted to ask you, the things that the Secretary of Defense was talking about, the 2014 borders and the lack of NATO membership. Ultimately, these are both demands that Russia has made in the past. Is there not a danger of handing Russia a kind of win on this?
Well,
guys, I do have a live goal up there. I'd appreciate it. You can also do Cash App and Venmo if you guys want to support the content. I'd appreciate it. My Cash App is Adam Cray. My Venmo's Adam Cray Politics. I would appreciate supporting that way as well.
Well, I think that if you look at the war, the way the war is going, you'll have to make your own determination. I'm just here to try and get peace. I don't care so much about anything other than I want to stop having millions of people killed. Last night, Kiev got hit very, very hard. I want to see people stop getting killed. That war is ridiculous.
So do I, but you don't do that. So, let me ask you a question. Would it have been when Hitler was trouncing across Europe, right? When he was stomping his way across Europe, would it have been in our best interest to concede that territory that he had already previously conquered? No. It wouldn't. It wouldn't. And why wouldn't it? Because you don't set that type of press. You don't allow authoritarians to do this. Guys, weren't you raised, right? And you were told in history class and civics class the importance of maintaining democratic principles across the world. Like how important it is that we maintain democracy, not just in the United States, but elsewhere. It's important, right? Democracy is important, right? And for an authoritarian dictator to invade a completely sovereign nation, and the leader, supposed to be the leader of the free world, is sitting up here on a microphone and saying they fought for that territory, they earned that territory. No, it's not possible that we're going to give the territory back to the completely sovereign nation that was invaded. I mean, this is really the beginning of a totally different country we live in now.
Ridiculous. It should have never.
We no longer live in the country we grew up in. We do not live. Let me repeat that. We do not live in the country we grew up in.
Happened, and it would have never happened. Yeah, a couple of more questions.
Are you planning to sign today? Are you planning to sign an executive order on reciprocal tariffs, sir?
Yes, I am. In fact, I may do it today, and if I do it today, I could almost do it right now. Would you like me to talk about it now? I don't want to take anything away from this young lady's day, because this is her day, and I may do it later on, or I may do it tomorrow morning, but we'll be signing reciprocal tariffs. The world has taken advantage of the United States for many years. They've charged us massive tariffs that we haven't charged them. And as you know, I just did something on steel and aluminum, 25%. That'll go up at some point, but 25%, which will level the playing field quite a bit. I did it previously 50%, and Obama was very weak, and Biden was even weaker.
Laura, thank you so much for the $10 on Venmo, says, for making sure we know the truth. Thank you, Laura. Appreciate the $10 on Venmo.
On steel, the steel was just absolutely, it really started with Obama. The world really took advantage of us, and then that morphed into Biden. And what they did was he was so worried about trying to attack his political opponent that he didn't know what he was doing with respect to countries taking advantage. He should have looked at the countries, both friend and foe, taking advantage of us. So we're going to be doing reciprocal tariffs, which is whatever they charge, we charge, very simply. But we're going to be...
Considering exemption, talk about widespread fraud and abuse.
Oh, yeah, tremendous fraud. There's tremendous fraud. And it's hard to believe that you can have that kind of fraud. You're talking about, like, are you talking about what? Wait. Which are you talking? You're talking about with regard to all of the investigations that are going on about this stupidity. What we're going to do is tomorrow I'm having a news conference. I'm going to read to you some of the names that hundreds of millions and even billions of dollars have been given to. And if you tell me that we should be giving money to those things, those entities, I think you'll probably have to leave as a reporter because you're not very talented. When you look at the kind of money, billions and billions of dollars being thrown away illegally, and there's no chance. I mean, I say it in front of our Attorney General, there's no chance that there's not kickbacks or something going on. When you give millions and millions of dollars to somebody that stands to look at something for 15 minutes and walks away with millions of dollars, that money's coming back in some form. And that's only one form of corruption. The biggest thing is what they do to our country. They're taking massive amounts of money and spending it on items. I went through a list of 200 expenditures that were made, and I found 3 that looked like they were reasonable. Okay, 3. And we'll be talking about that tomorrow. We have a lot of stuff, and I want to commend Elon because he's done he doesn't need this. You know, he's abused by you people every day. He's found more things than anybody could find. I think he's got the credibility to do it. I know he does. And it's his group of people. You know, they started off with 12. I call them 12 geniuses. They started off with 12, and they went to 20 and 25, and now they're up to almost 100. People are joining to help them because there's a massive fraud that's...
His list will include zero evidence. It's like his healthcare plan.
taken place. And then you have judges that are activists, and they sit there and they say, oh, as an example, $59 million going to...
Here we go. He's going to talk about what I talked about yesterday. He doesn't know how government works. Watch this. Watch what he's about to say.
Little small group in New York City. You get nothing going to North Carolina to help nothing. They say, we don't have any money because they've given it away on the border. But you have nothing. What they did to North Carolina is a shame. And then
this is not true, dude.
And they sent $59 million to New York City for a hotel for a little...
What did they do to North Carolina?
A little bit of nothing. What they've done, a hotel that was not lucky.
So sad that FEMA literally had to put up a website actively debunking the misinformation. It was that bad. Caitlin, thank you for the $5 super chat, Caitlin. Appreciate you.
Luxury that's getting luxury rates for migrants where they're making a fortune, and we catch them. We catch them. But a judge says, well, even though it may be a fraud, you have to send the money in anyway. Send the money. I said, wait a minute. We have money that shouldn't go because we caught it before it was sent out. But they want the money to go anyway. And
this is bonkers.
I think you're going to have a lot of things to look at, Pam. I really do. What's going on with this whole thing. And this is just one group. We haven't talked about Department of Education. We haven't talked about the military. We haven't talked about a lot of...
Yeah, one thing I'm excited to see is how the military responds to you digging into their personal business. I want to see Elon walk into the fucking DOD. I want to see Elon walk into the fucking Pentagon and start saying, all right, give me this, give me that. I really want to see that. Are they going to stand for that? You realize, guys, Doge has actually no real legal power, right?
That are very big. And what's happened is...
And I don't understand, truthfully, let's force Elon to testify. That needs to happen now. Let's get Elon under oath about Doge, and let's do it quick. Let's subpoena Elon. Let's subpoena Elon and get him to testify. I need him under oath, and I need him under oath now.
As an example, you'll have cases where you have a 3-month contract, and maybe the guy that signs the contract leaves. Maybe he gets rich. All of a sudden, he leaves for that reason. But you have a 3-month contract, and maybe he leaves. So the contract is sitting there, and the people signing the checks don't know it's 3 months, and it goes on for years. The 3 months turns out to be 3 years, 5 years, 10 years. Just goes on forever. And the guy on the other side of the contract just keeps getting check after check after check because...
Tim, thanks for the $1 on Venmo.
Elon had an expression yesterday because nobody cares. It's a great expression. Nobody cares. The guy that signed the contract didn't care. Maybe there, may not be there. Maybe crooked. Who knows?
Maybe, might be crooked. Who knows? We don't know. We don't have proof, but... we're going to tell you it's crooked because that's what we do. We haven't provided an ounce of evidence like Dirty Alvin Bragg did the same thing to me, and I did everything right, and they still indicted me. They indicted me. They indicted me. I did everything right, and they indicted me. So now I'm paying them back.
But you have to care. Otherwise, you can't really run a thing like that, or you can't run a country, really, because there's so many transactions, thousands and thousands of transactions. And if you don't have people that care, you're going to lose control. And that's what's happened, and we've caught it. Now, what we caught is billions and billions of dollars, but it's a tiny fraction of the real number, because you can never catch the real number because people have gotten away with tremendous amounts of money. But I said we have to make our government smaller, more efficient, more effective, and a lot less expensive. And we could find $1 trillion, but...
So the funniest thing is that they're trying to push this narrative now that people elected him to conduct these audits, right? That people elected him to conduct audits. Let's be clear, everybody. Short-term memory politics drive me fucking crazy. Everyone remembers why Republicans or what Republicans were spreading, right? All over social media. You guys were there with me. You remember. What were they saying? He's going to lower prices. Prices are going up, and now he's convincing the American people they need to hold on. The American people did not vote for Trump because of Doge. Jesse, thank you for the $5 super chat, says they will never provide proof. Jesse, they never will. You're 100% correct.
We're being hindered by courts where they file in certain courts where it's very hard to win, and a judge will stop us, and a judge will say that it doesn't make any difference what you find. You just keep paying the money. That's it.
Guys, by the way, make sure you're subscribed. We're about to hit 8,000 followers. We're at 799. We're at 7,099 followers. We're about to hit 8,000 followers. Come on, let's get to that'd be nice if we hit that 8,000 while we're on here. Let me check the exact number.
A hell of a way.
I don't know if it's 709, if it's 7,927 or if it's 999. Let me see.
To be. And I follow the courts. I have to follow the law. All it means is that we appeal. But that gives people time to cover their tracks. And that's what they do. So it's a very bad thing that's taking place. But hopefully the courts will be fair. They don't have to be very fair. They just have to be a little bit fair because this is so egregious. All
right, 7,993. That's where we're at.
Taking place. Nobody's ever seen anything like it. Nobody's seen numbers like this. These are massive numbers. $9 million for somebody to go and
7,993. I don't know why I keep saying 700. 7,993. That's where we're at. I can check in real time.
Stand in a store and see how people shop. Okay? I mean, you take a look at these things. It's a disgrace.
Angel Eyes, thank you for the $13.99 super chat. It is extremely difficult listening to this piece of shit, but we are. Thanks, Adam, for keeping us informed. Angel Eyes, it's super important that we listen to him. Ignoring him, unfortunately, will not make him go away. He's going to do these things regardless, so we got to break it down. And listen, we become more informed, and we know exactly what's going on. That makes us more dangerous. That makes us better in our fight against fascism, is knowing exactly what they say. I wish we could just ignore them. I wish I could turn off the TV and ignore this guy, but unfortunately, that's not the way the world works. Jesse, thank you for becoming a Muppet Masher, Jesse. And hopefully, Rational, thank you for becoming a mastermind of Muppetry, which is our highest tier. Mastermind of Muppetry is our highest tier. Thank you, hopefully, Rational. Thank you for becoming a mastermind of Muppetry. Jesse, a Muppet Masher. Mora, thank you for becoming a tadpole. Thank you for becoming members, everybody. Appreciate it.
And then you have a country that we want to make America great again. It's very hard to make America great again when you have things like this. And you're going to see the same thing. Department of Education is going to be a disaster. The military, I mean, I see it. Look, I bought.
Yes, RFK was confirmed today. RFK is confirmed. For those wondering, and you were not here, RFK was confirmed. RFK was confirmed. So we are in big trouble. Why is no one asking for proof? So Emily, proof was brought up during the meeting in the Oval Office. And Elon said, well, we've even made a Twitter account, a Doge X-handle Twitter account. And we really, you can go there and you can see the proof. It's not there. We looked, it's not there.
I came in, they had a contract done, as you know, for $5.7 billion for airplanes. It was Air Force One with Boeing. 5.7. I got it down to $4 billion, little less than that, 1 penny less than that. $3,999,999.99. I said, has to have a 3 in front of it because I wouldn't sign the contract for $5.7 billion. I was able to cut $1.7 billion off the price. And it didn't take me long. $1.7 billion. If people would care, they'd be able to do that with every single contract that's put before them. And we wouldn't have deficits, would have nothing but
All right, right now, I want every single person in the chat, you know, we do this at least one live stream. I want you to tell me the one food that you're dreaming of right now. For me, food's always on my mind. Right now, I'm dreaming about a couple of different things, but chat, give me some ideas. What's the food that you're dreaming about right now?
Tremendously
in the back of your head.
Low taxed, wonderful country, but they have to care. And speaking of that, you know, Boeing, we're not happy with the service we're getting in terms of those planes. They would like to get more money. We're not happy about that whole thing. We signed a very strong contract. I signed a guaranteed maximum contract, which they haven't seen in a long time. And they're saying they're getting hurt by it. But they have to produce the product, and we expect them to produce.
Somebody that's a Republican was I was listening to this podcast when I was in the car, and this person's like, you know, you got to give it to Trump, though. He really does spend a lot of time in front of the media. He's far more transparent than any president we've ever had. That's because he loves to hear himself talk, not because he's giving us any kind of information. That's not transparency. That's arrogance. He's a full-blown narcissist. He loves to hear himself talk. It has nothing to do with anything other than attention. That's it. Hopefully Rational says an Italian sub. Micro Kimmy, thank you for the $1.99 super chat. Says, I can't stand how he says billion and yeast rolls. Sounds good to me.
The product. They have to produce the product.
I'm actually like I've been like researching how to make bread and stuff. I really, for some reason, feel like we need to like learn the basics. Like we should all know how to make bread. You know what I mean? We should all know how to make bread. Should all know how to make basic stuff. You know, during the Great Depression, there was like specific meals that people used to eat that were cheap, obviously, you know, where you could get the most out of it. And I was watching a channel yesterday on YouTube that is I can't remember the name or I'd shout her out. She's an older woman. She's really successful on YouTube. I think she has like 140,000 followers or something. That's pretty big for YouTube. That's pretty successful. And she basically cooks Great Depression style meals, right? And it is fucking awesome. And I was thinking to myself, I want to try that. Like, I want to make some of these things. And I don't think, honestly, like, the direction we're headed, I don't think it's a bad idea.
They agreed to...
That's why I used to think prepping was for crazy conspiracy people. Prepping is not for crazy conspiracy people. We should all be preppers now. We should all be prepping to some degree. You know? Whether it's Band-Aids, whether it's batteries, whether it's, you know, whatever. We should all, to some degree, be preparing ourselves.
Build planes at a certain price. They're not used to that. They're used to having time and material contracts where it's whatever it costs, time and material, no dates, no anything, and it ends up costing 5 times more. You look at some of the ships that have been built. Take a look at the Gerald Ford, the aircraft carrier, the Ford. It was supposed to cost $3 billion. It ends up costing like $18 billion. And they make, of course, all electric catapults, which don't work. And they have all magnetic elevators to lift up 25 planes at a time, 20 planes at a time. And instead of using...
Wait, what is a Cuban sandwich again? You said a Cuban. What is a Cuban sandwich again? I know I've had one before, but I forget what it's in it. Ham or something? Let's see. Cuban sandwich ingredients. Let's see real quick. I'm just curious. So, Cuban bread, roast pork, sliced ham, Swiss cheese, yellow mustard, and sliced pickles. That sounds delicious, I'm not going to lie.
Using hydraulic, like on tractors that can handle anything from hurricanes to lightning to anything. They use magnets. It's a new theory. Magnets are going to lift the planes up, and it doesn't work.
Magnets, bitch! Name that show.
And they had billions and billions of dollars of cost overruns. I met the architect. I said, have you designed a ship before? This is one of the biggest ships in the world.
This is also the guy that thinks that Elon's building those rockets.
It's like landing at LaGuardia Airport. But you look at the kind of waste, fraud, and abuse that this country is going through, and we have to straighten it out. We have great people going into the military in terms of we need ships, we need a lot of things. We have great people we have business people going in. But when you look at what's happened to
Alex Laro, thank you so much for becoming a Muppet Masher, Alex. Appreciate the support, Alex. Thank you so much, Alex.
the purchasing. And when you look at the USAID, when you look at the things that they're giving to them, the billions of dollars that they're giving to, and it doesn't make sense. It is interesting that when you're looking for fraud, you look at items, hundreds of items, and you'll find one or two, maybe, if you're lucky. Here's something where you look at data, and they're all fraudulent, by just looking at the top.
Lar, thank you for the $1 on Cash App. Are you that political person from TikTok? No. We just have the exact same name, and we look really similar. But it's not me.
Topic. They're all fraudulent, except it's the opposite. You'll find one or two that's like a legitimate reason. So I just want to thank Elon for going through it. I want to thank all the people that are working with him. We have a big group of people. I think the lowest IQ is about 160. That's very high. I think you have a couple of 182s in there, but they're doing a fantastic.
Thank you so much, T-Full Hund, with the $20 super chat. T-Full Hund, thank you so much. Check out Doge.gov. I would love to see actual evidence to test the legitimacy in the numbers they are presenting. We'll do it after this. We'll literally go to their website. We'll go to their website right after this. Let's see what's on it.
Fantastic job. He doesn't need it, and they don't need it, but we're showing things, and it's going to be it's a big. People have no idea how important it is. Yeah.
So how soon do you want the Department of Education to be closed?
Oh, I'd like it to be closed immediately. Look, the Department of Education's a big con job.
Oh my God.
We're ranked so.
Oh my God.
They rank the top 40 countries in the world. We're ranked number 40th, but we're ranked number 1 in one department, costs per pupil. So we spend more per pupil than any other country in the world.
That's what we need to do. The Department of Education is 100% going to advance us. Guys, I got a great idea. How do we stay neck and neck with China? How do we continue to compete with China? I got it. Eliminate the Department of Education. Why did nobody think of that? How do we compete with China? We eliminate our education system. Oh my God. How did nobody ever think of that? It's genius.
But we're ranked number 40. We've been between 38 and 40. The last time I looked, it was 38. And then I looked 2 days ago, it came out the new list. It came out at number 40. So we're ranked 40. Norway, Denmark, Sweden.
Bye, Twofold. Thank you so much for that $20 super chat. I really appreciate you. Thank you so much.
I hate to say it, China, as big as it is, it's ranked in the top 5. And that's a primary competitor. We're ranked number 40. So if we're ranked number 40, that means something's really wrong, right? And I say send it back to Iowa, to Idaho, to Colorado. Send it back to places that, and a lot of Indiana. You have a great new governor. You have a great senator that Jim Banks just got elected. You got great people. I'll tell you what, Indiana is going to be fantastic. We probably have 35, maybe 37 states that will do as well as Denmark, Norway, Finland, Sweden. They'll be just as good. Then you have the ones that we all know about. It'll be the same story. But you know what? Even they will be good. Because you look at New York, you give it to Westchester County, you give it to Long Island, you give it to Nassau County, you give it to Suffolk County. Same thing you go out to, and you give it to upstate New York. So you'd have 4 or 5 sections. You give it to Manhattan. Manhattan's a little bit tougher for some reason. I don't know why it would be tougher, but it is. You give to California, and you go to various areas outside of Los Angeles, and you might have 6 or 7 different subgroups. But generally, like if you go.
Sorry, I know. I'm going to look at the Doge website in 1 second, but this is the other thing that somebody wanted me to watch. He's filibustering, not answering questions. That's why I turned it off. I'm not going to listen to him keep doing the same thing. He can shut up now.
Good afternoon, everyone.
We're going to start with the U.S. press. We're going to take 2 from the U.S. We'll take 2 from international.
This is pretty serious
and then we'll
stuff
go from
here.
there, depending on the
People were
secretary. So
disputing
let us
whether or not
start
he was the most dangerous. It's because of the position he's in. He's literally responsible for the readiness of the military. So Pete Hegseth is by far one of the most dangerous people we've ever had in government.
Now, hold on, John.
Not just the most dangerous in this cabinet, the most dangerous we've ever had.
Sir, I'm going to talk first.
Roger that.
It is great to be here at NATO with 31 allies, also with my wife Jenny, who's been meeting with families of U.S. troops, both here in Germany, and we're heading to Poland right after this as well. That's what this is all about for me, for President Trump, and the Defense Department. I also want to express a special thanks to the Secretary General Ruta, for your boldness, for your friendship, for your leadership, and most especially for your urgency of the matter at hand, which is great to see from the leader of NATO. Look forward to working very closely with him and his team. And before we're talking about what we've done at the ministerial, I want to reaffirm a few things from this podium. First, as we see it, NATO's...
Wait a second. Is the Department of Government Efficiency website literally just a Twitter? That's what it is?
Strategic objectives are to prevent great power conflict in Europe, deter nuclear and non-nuclear aggression, and defeat threats to treaty allies should deterrence fail. Second, the U.S. is committed to building a
Holy
stronger,
shit.
more
It's
lethal
literally just tweets. Holy shit.
NATO. However, we must ensure that European and Canadian commitment to Article 3 of this treaty is just as strong. Article 3 says that allies, and I quote, by means of
Hold on one
continuous
second,
and
guys.
effective self-help,
I want to grab something for this.
will maintain and develop their individual and collective capacity to resist armed attack. Leaders of our European allies should take primary responsibility for defense of the continent, which means security ownership by all allies, guided by a clear understanding of strategic realities, and it's an imperative given the strategic realities that we face. And that begins with increasing defense spending. 2% is a start, as President Trump has said, but it's not enough. Nor is 3%, nor is 4%, more like 5%. Real investment, real urgency. We can talk all we want about values. Values are important. But you can't shoot values.
What? What did you just say?
Urgency. We can talk all we want about values. Values are important. But you can't shoot values.
Holy shit. He's literally fucking crazy, dude.
You can't shoot flags, and you can't shoot strong speeches. There is no replacement for hard power. As much as we may not want to like...
He's trying to justify being lethal. Being the most lethal. It's about lethality.
The world we live in some cases, there's nothing like hard power. It should be obvious that increasing allied European defense spending is critical, as the President of the United States has said.
So far, guys, let's just break this down really quick, okay? This is really important. So since Trump's been in office, we are going to take over Gaza. Alicia, thank you for the $5 super chat, Alicia. Thank you, Alicia. Appreciate you, Alicia. We said we're going to take over Gaza, right? Gaza's ours. We renamed the Gulf of Mexico, Greenland. We are saying Canada is going to become the 51st state. Ukraine is now going to do what we want them to do to end this war, including surrendering their own territory. Is he a dictator yet? Is he an authoritarian yet? Does anyone want to dispute that he's an authoritarian yet? Anyone interested in disputing that with me? Wants to take Canada, the stuff with Greenland, Gulf of America, Mexico, wants to go in and attack the cartels. Canada has to become the 51st state. Ukraine. He's trying to take over the world. He's the president of the United States. We're telling the rest of the world what to do. He's been in office for a few weeks. Anyone want to dispute all the stuff that I said about authoritarianism, referencing specifically the tenets of fascism, that being a tenet of fascism? All of it coming true. Where the fuck are the people that told me this wasn't going to happen? I can't wait to talk to them. And I have equipment coming in the mail that is going to allow you to call in. And it's going to allow you to speak to me. And I hope we get some people that claimed that I was full of shit on the phone. And I'm sure we will.
Also critical is expanding our defense industrial base capacity on both sides of the Atlantic. Our dollars, our euros, our pounds must become real capabilities. The U.S. is fully committed under President Trump's leadership to pursue these objectives in the face of today's threats. Yesterday, I had a chance to attend the Ukraine Defense Contact Group. Today, participated in both the NATO Ministerial and the Ukraine Council. In both, we discussed Russia's war of aggression against Ukraine. I had the chance to brief allies on President Trump's top priority, a diplomatic, peaceful end to this war as quickly as possible in a manner that creates enduring and durable peace. The American Defense Department fully supports the efforts of the Trump administration. And we look to allies to support this important work with leading on Ukraine security assistance now through increased contributions and greater ownership.
Hey, Gretchen, thank you for becoming a tadpole, Gretchen. Welcome to the Muppet family here, the Muppet Mashing family, and thank you for becoming a tadpole. Hope to see you move up soon. Thank you so much.
Of future security assistance to Ukraine. To that end, I want to thank my UK counterpart, Defense Secretary John Healey, for hosting this Ukraine Defense Contact Group.
By the way, Linda McMahon's crap was today. And listen, I want to say, did you guys hear that Vince McMahon's case got squashed? Did you guys hear that? You guys know Vince McMahon, right? That's Linda McMahon's husband, was accused of sex trafficking. His lawyers came out and said the criminal probe into him is over. Donald Trump is incredibly close to Vince McMahon, and coincidentally, the case is done. The guy was literally being investigated for sex trafficking. Trump gets elected, and now the case is dead. And I've heard that Trump is the one who ordered it dead. And Linda McMahon is in his cabinet. He nominated her to be in his cabinet. She's his husband. She's his wife.
For his leadership on support of Ukraine.
He's close to a lot of predators, but listen, like now he's actively killing cases, telling the Department of Justice stop investigating. It's corruption at the highest level.
President Trump gave me a clear mission: achieve peace through strength, as well as put America first. Our people, our taxpayers, our borders, and our security. We are doing this by reviving the warrior ethos, rebuilding
warrior ethos. I mean, this is just
our military, and reestablishing deterrence. NATO should pursue these goals as well. NATO is a great alliance, the most successful defense alliance in history. But to endure for the future, our partners must do far more for Europe's defense. We must make NATO great again.
Oh my God.
It begins with defense spending, but must also include reviving the transatlantic defense industrial base, rapidly fielding emerging technologies, prioritizing readiness and lethality, and establishing real deterrence. Finally, I want to close with this. After World War II, First General and then President Eisenhower was one of NATO's strongest supporters. He believed in a strong relationship with Europe. However, by the end of Eisenhower's presidency, even he was concerned that Europe was not shouldering enough of its own defense, nearly making, in Eisenhower's words, quote, a sucker out of Uncle Sam. Well, like President Eisenhower, this administration believes in alliances, deeply believes in alliances. But make no mistake, President Trump will not allow anyone to turn Uncle Sam into Uncle Sucker. Thank you.
I'm speaking for myself. Israel can open.
Disturbing stuff. Disturbing stuff. Let me see if how Linda McMahon's thing's going here. I wanted to check this. It must be on a break.
No cuts to Public Schools Act.
Or apprenticeship programs. I'd also like to see,
Oh my God, is that her? Oh my dear God, she's not aged
more
well.
dual credits.
My God, that's
in our high school.
Dude, that's Triple H standing behind her. What the fuck? This is a fucking clown show.
Its business. With that, Ms. McMahon,
What?
please resume.
That's Shane McMahon and Vince McMahon behind her. This is a clown show, people. Oh my God. WWE wrestlers. I just kidding. This is. I want to know if Vince McMahon is there. Because if he's there, I mean, dude, all bets are off. All bets are off.
Thank you. So I think we do have to get back to teaching basics, in school K through 12, but to continue on to what we were talking about, but we don't have enough skill-based learning. We don't have enough internships or apprenticeship programs. I'd also like to see, more dual credits in our high schools, our junior and senior years, that would count towards community colleges or other institutes that would get students through college faster if, in fact, that is the plan that they are going to take. So we have so much that we can do to help our students get prepared to have a good income and a good livelihood. And if they can graduate from high school with some skill-based already, they can even start a business of their own. They can decide at that particular point.
Where do the qualifications come for you, ma'am? Where? Helping run the WWE and cover up sex crimes from your husband? Hi, 63294. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, these maggots will always agree with their leader. Always. Always. They never say no. I just think this is just weird as fuck. Like, imagine, if they start wrestling and shit.
I want
They might as well start
put
wrestling.
more money towards my own education. But in the meantime, I am...
That's Shane McMahon right here over my head. That's Triple H, Paul Levesque, who's a WWE wrestler. I don't recognize the rest yet.
Prepared to make a living. But I think we have to look at education and say our vocational and skill-based training is not a default education. It can be something, it can be front and center so that students who are inclined to go in that direction actually should be encouraged to do that. It's not one size fits all.
I would hope, too, that you would look, my time's almost up, would look at the
This is
number of
fucking
teachers we have
bonkers,
now
dude.
as compared to administrators.
The
We
world's
need
coming to
teachers.
an end,
We
ladies
don't
and
need
gentlemen.
people up sitting in the office with their feet propped up. We need people in the classroom teaching
That's
these
what's
kids,
happening.
hold them accountable, and put more money in the teachers and less money in administrators. I think we'd be a heck of a lot better off. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Zelensky says that Ukraine won't accept any peace deal made without its involvement. So this is live. This is breaking. Zelensky has come out and said Ukraine won't accept any peace deal that they're not involved in. The fact that he even has to say that is disturbing. The other news is obviously McConnell voted against RFK. I hate McConnell, but thanks for voting against RFK. You know what I mean? At least you'll leave somewhat of a something before you pass on. I mean, the guy's got to be almost there. He's got to be almost on the mantle. At least he voted against these crazy people in his last days. And Kash Patel has now advanced in his nomination for FBI director. Another incredibly dangerous guy, Kash Patel. Wants to totally gut the FBI, which is retaliatory would be the best way to say that. It's a retaliation. It's an absolute retaliation. I wanted to see, I saw this clip where Jill Stein was literally debating, and I want to find it because I want to play it for you, and it's absolutely insane. Hi, 63294. Thank you for the $2 super chat. Says, I'm Homero from TikTok, by the way. Keep doing it. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it, buddy. Appreciate the support. I want to find this Jill Stein clip. I mean, I can't stand Jill Stein, dude. I fucking hate her. She's ridiculous. She's the worst. Literally the worst. The most disingenuous. One of the most disingenuous people in politics is Jill Stein. She is one of the worst people in politics. I don't care what anyone says. I don't care what anyone fucking says. She's one of the worst. Was it Morgan? Was it Piers Morgan she was on? Oh, it was. There we go.
Seeing the two parties fail to address the healthcare crisis,
Oh, this is old. This is old.
seeing the two parties fail to address the healthcare crisis.
She's the worst. Dude, she's the worst. Like, literally the freaking worst. And I want to find the clip, and for some reason it's not popping up here. Let me see if I can pull this up really quick. I can do it this way. I'll do it this way. I can make it easier.
Bitch, get the fuck out the bathroom right now. Bitch, get the fuck out the bathroom right now.
I don't know what the fuck that is. The fuck?
They won.
I became the third.
He's coming.
Dude, look. Dude, what the heck? We got. Wait. Wait, what is she doing? She's trying to break in, man. What the heck?
Why the fuck will it not let me continue as a fucking guest? God, I hate this fucking app so much, dude. Well, I guess I'm not gonna be able to fucking find it. God damn.
to address the housing crisis, where 50% of all Americans are basically 1 or 2 paychecks away from eviction, can't afford their rent. 63% of Americans are living paycheck to paycheck. And yet we are spending half of our congressional budget on the endless.
She's been hiding.
War machine. And by the way, the vast majority of Americans want an end to the genocide going on in Gaza, and yet, as well as a weapons embargo to make that happen. Yet we are not seeing the two major candidates actually address either of these crises, and there's basically an unwritten agreement that we will not address the basically the dominance of Wall Street and the war machine over our economy, over our lives. The voters have basically been thrown under the bus. So it's no wonder that both candidates, I think, what you see largely are people voting against the candidate that they hate.
If you guys never saw this, this was one of the...
This Renault will absolutely...
This is when she got fucking exposed. Dingle, yeah. I don't know why this fucking thing's not popping up here. I put a new goal up because the other one didn't get finished.
A special guest joining us. We have Dr. Jill Stein. Welcome.
Hello.
And Dr. Butch Ware.
Good
Welcome.
morning.
Who's seen this before? Have you ever seen this before? Has anyone ever seen this before? This is absolutely wild if you've never seen this before. She gets fucking cooked. She doesn't know how government works. She's lost. This was the best interview of all time. She gets absolutely fucking exposed. It's awesome.
People carrying...
See if I can just find the actual clips.
There is a very interesting interview that took place on The Breakfast Club. Perennial... Very dangerous rhetoric to... Angela Rye really exposed that. Take a look at the first minute or so of the interview. There you go. She immediately says what Angela Rye just...
So I don't know. We can watch it if you want. I don't know if you guys want to watch the entire thing, but she got absolutely fucking destroyed during this interview. Not just with this, with everything. Here, so this is one of the things that really pisses me off.
At Harbor Freight.
This is the stance that she has and that leftist people have that really fucking drives me crazy. And it is so incredibly wrong because if you know what fascism is, you understand that you can have tenets of fascism. That doesn't mean that you're fascist. There can be characteristics of fascism. That doesn't make you fascist, right? According to the 14 tenets, you need to meet the 14 tenets. You can have a disdain for human rights. That doesn't make you a fascist. It means that having a disdain for human rights is a characteristic of fascism. Clara, thank you so much for the $2.79 super chat. Thank you so much for educating us daily. Thank you. I appreciate the $2.79.
Engagement from Forever War. There are a lot more people that are interested.
This was the guy that she had as her running mate, right? He's like fucking milk. That aged like milk. Holy shit, did that age like milk, bro.
Us towards World War III more rapidly than Team Red is.
Oh my gosh. Now, I wonder what he has to say now. Does he hold this same position as they literally talk about displacing all of the people in Palestine, that they're not even going to be able to live there anymore? Are they still two sides of the same coin? Mel, thank you so much. This is FDT, appreciate you. Thank you, Mel. Thank you for the $1.99 super chat, Mel. Bad take.
Just that one of it is...
You're talking about having characteristics.
It's like fascism, and the other is fascism.
Do you know what the difference? You know what the difference is? The difference is the difference between a two-state solution, the long-standing foreign policy of the United States, and occupation and displacement. That's the difference. Right? That's the difference. Not saying that the other side is perfect. There are issues there. But to say they're two wings of the same bird, to say they're the same, no. Hell no. And I guarantee you that this guy is not nearly as outspoken speaking about this issue in particular since Donald Trump has talked about what he's going to do with Gaza. Because that age... It's so sad that people fell for this, man. Like, we really, like, the fact, looking back on this and we lost that election because of that type of rhetoric is just hard to swallow. It's really, 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 really hard to swallow. I have a hard time not losing it on people that have that stance, you know? Like, I get it, but I don't think you get it. Like, I get what you're saying, and I can sympathize with what you're saying to a degree, but I can never get on board with the idea that you didn't understand that Harris was the clear choice here. The clear choice. He blew it. He absolutely blew it. And here's the other part. Here's the other part of this right now. This is what I'm talking about.
Let's talk about these and a whole lot of other developments. Richard Haass, President Emeritus at the Council of Foreign Relations. And Richard, I really appreciate you being with me. There is so much to talk about, but I want to focus first on the issue between Hamas and Israel.
Hamas says that it will release the hostages on Saturday.
There was the president.
Yeah, he does. He was on a live with a dancer who had the Palestine flag on the stage. Deborah, thank you so much for the $20 Cash App, Deborah. Appreciate that. Love your YouTube and Substack live streams. Thank you, Deborah. I really appreciate that a lot. It helps a lot, the Cash Apps. It really does. Thank you, Deb. He may, but I doubt he holds the same position that they're... So you're telling me he's still saying they're two wings of the same bird? After all of that? After Trump saying he's going to displace the people of Palestine? You're going to tell me that Trump is the same as Harris, who was advocating for a two-state solution? Once again, I'm not saying it's a perfect solution that they had, and I don't disagree with the argument in regards to, like, the military, right? But the truth is that they're not the same. One was arguing for a two-state solution and was not arguing to remove people from Gaza and then create resorts.
Of the United States said just a couple of days ago that if all the hostages weren't released by...
Trump said if all the hostages are not released by Saturday, by this weekend, that all hell is going to break loose. Those were his exact words.
This next Saturday, all hell could break loose.
No, he said would.
How do you see that tactic? And it seems as though Hamas may be saying, well, we're going to be releasing some of the hostages on Saturday after they had expressed doubts.
They probably will. The Israelis were having special...
So what happens if Hamas doesn't do this?
Meetings prepared to resume military action as soon as...
Are you going to send our people in there?
The weekend. My guess is the first phase of this agreement will continue to happen. By the way, a lot of prisoners will be released. The numbers are far in that direction. And then the question is what happens next? Phase 2 gets more complicated because you need complete Israeli military withdrawal. You would have to have an open-ended ceasefire. I think that's I'm more skeptical of that, Jose. And I think Hamas may...
Is Trump going to send our guys in there? Because that's what he said. You're going to send our military in there? Yeah, that's a genius idea.
Decide they're not going to be the problem. Maybe let Israel be the problem, because there are still real issues of difference between Prime Minister Netanyahu and his government.
And then you have the whole issue of Gaza and what happens in Gaza going forward. The President of the United States also throwing out this idea, it seemed out of the blue for many, of the United States having the United States Authority take the Gaza Strip and redevelop it and move up to 2 million Palestinians from there. How does that play?
Well, the short answer is that's not going to happen. But what's interesting is that the other possible explanation for Hamas showing a little bit of flexibility in the hostage exchange is the Jordanians, the Egyptians, the Saudis, and others are talking about how to respond to this Trump proposal that none of them wants, none of them likes. And it's quite possible they told Hamas, let's keep the focus on this.
All I know is this is going to end badly.
and let's keep the focus on what happens and come up with an alternative, if you will, to mass deportation. Let's come up with a governance and security and political
No, anyone who didn't vote for Harris is also insane.
proposal for Gaza. And my guess is that's where the Hamas and the rest of the Arabs are going.
And you're going to learn that the hard way. I don't need to convince you anymore. If you don't think that was a mistake, then look, I'm not here to convince you at this point. If you don't think not voting for Harris was a mistake at this point, you're out of your tree. Okay? Let me tell you that right now. You're out of your freaking tree. Out of your tree.
To be going.
But you're going to find out.
Why has this not been considered or talked about before?
This being
the pan-Arab talks have been going on, but this specific issue is something that nobody had talked about before.
Well, there had been a little bit of talk. Obviously, the Saudis had said, if you want us to normalize with Israel, we need a day after plan. We need something about a Palestinian state. I think what happened is the Trump proposal, though, scrambled the eggs completely. You saw the discomfort of the Jordanian king when he was in the Oval Office the other day. He said he wants to talk to his Egyptian counterpart. So I think that's what's happening. Is that
No, you can't deny it at this point. I mean, unless you're waiting for Trump to literally start putting people on planes to other countries, fine. It's the same thing with the deport. We have people being sent to camps in Cuba because it's outside of the territorial sovereignty of the United States. Trump is actively dismantling the federal government and eliminating checks and balances, things like congressional authority in regards to things like funds that are appropriated, right? In regards to the Impoundment Act, right? We're watching Donald Trump say that he's going to force Canada to become the 51st state, invade Mexico. He's going to force Ukraine to cede territory. Gaza is a part of a whole slew of things that have happened since he's gotten elected. If anyone misses the point that Harris should have been the clear option for everyone here to save lives, because what leftism is about is harm reduction, reducing the overall impact.
the Trump introduction of this outside idea has changed the political dynamics, and I think the Arabs basically have come to the point of view you can't beat something.
Jill Stein also can't call Bashar al-Assad. I mean, she refuses to condemn the actions of Bashar al-Assad. Every time she brings him up, she starts talking about the U.S. government. The guy's responsible for a number of human rights violations over a span of years. His entire family, Bashar al-Assad, dropping chemical weapons on children, and so on. She's awful.
With nothing, so I think now they want to come up with something in a hurry.
Richard, the importance and the significance of Saudi Arabia in all of this, there was clearly discussions, talks underway before.
What are the Dems doing? That's a deflection, okay? When I say that Harris was the clear option and you say, what are the Dems doing? That's a deflection. There is no denying that Harris was the clear choice in this election. There's no denying that. And I'm someone I'm not a super big fan of Democrats, but she was the clear option. She really was. Because look what's happening now. And they're not comparable to any degree. That doesn't make one good and one bad. One is significantly worse. And refusing to acknowledge that is disingenuous.
October 7th, between Saudi Arabia, Israel, certainly the United States, the Biden administration was involved in that. All these things changed afterwards. But the importance of Saudi, and also the historic importance of Egypt, which, if you look at it, really doesn't seem to play any geopolitical importance, but it's history.
The American people made a major mistake here, and they're going to find out. Look, I'm critical of Democrats. Anyone who watches me knows I am regularly critical of Democrats. I have a lot to say about them. Not happy with them. They have serious issues. To say they're anywhere near what the Republican Party is right now is absurd. Absurd. Actively dismantling the government.
history certainly gives it, and then the King of Jordan as well.
Look, Egypt was the first Arab country to establish peace with Israel. It's about a quarter of the Arab world in terms of demography.
Right.
It's lost a
Aqua, you're deflecting.
lot of its political weight.
You didn't answer the question. If you're refusing to acknowledge that Harris was the lesser of two evil in this situation and would have significantly reduced the amount of harm done to individuals across the globe, then you're being disingenuous. You're deflecting, right?
To the Saudis and others.
You'll be able to debate me soon. Don't worry. Let's see if you come up and debate me on this topic.
Who have the economic power. Saudis also have the holy places of Islam. And in some ways, they've taken over leadership to the extent it exists in the Arab world. The UAE also has...
You can be mad at the government. I'm mad at the government. I'm not happy with the government. I've been furious at the government for a long time. I've long pushed back against occupation. I've long pushed back against the military bases and the things the United States government has participated in, war in Iraq, Afghanistan, things that have happened since I've been alive. But understand that sometimes in politics, it has to be about harm reduction. It has to be. We can't ignore the fact that Donald Trump is far more dangerous. That is a fact. That doesn't mean that Harris has to be good or great in order to be the alternative. But she would have been a much safer choice. She was not going to displace the people of Gaza, right? There's a lesser of two evils in this circumstance. I don't think that she is perfect. I don't think she's definitely not far enough left for me. But she was better than Donald Trump by far. It's not even close. It's just not even close.
A big role.
We have to remember that sometimes in politics, it's about, picking the option that is going to reduce the amount of harm done to people. That's all.
It's important simply.
You can do both. You can be simultaneously furious at our government, their actions, the way they conduct themselves, because there's plenty to be angry at. We got to make sure that we understand that Harris was the clear option, and people who are advocating against her put us in a tough position here. And a number of Democrats that didn't vote for her for whatever reason. It wasn't just that situation. There was a number of different reasons, and that's partially their fault, right? A lot of it's their fault. Most of it's their fault.
Because it's next to Israel. It's probably, 60% Palestinian now. It was the second Arab country to establish peace with Israel. And I don't think the Israelis want to destabilize either Jordan or Egypt. So in some ways, they're a little bit uneasy with some of these threats of deportation because of what it might do in the neighborhood. So again, I think what's so...
Why are you guys apologizing to Nicole? What happened?
Interesting about the Trump proposal is not that it's going to happen, is what it might set in motion in response to it.
Do you see any reason to be optimistic in this?
Words like optimism in Middle East rarely get uttered in the same sentence or paragraph.
I'm actually concerned for this weekend. I hope everything goes smoothly.
Charlie Hurt joins me now. Charlie, before I talk about the legal thing, I got to talk about what Trump just said. You and I know Washington very well. I grew up in Washington, D.C. I didn't find one program, at least one big department that didn't have a lot of waste and fraud. We all knew this was the case, right?
Yeah, and it's kind of funny, actually. The whole Doge department and Donald Trump is doing what old reporters used to do in Washington, which was find all these outrageous examples of abuse and wasted money and perhaps even stealing that goes on in government. And we know it goes on.
Why do we keep getting lesser of two evils? Because we have guys, by the way, I have a live goal up there. If you'd like to contribute super chats, would appreciate it. If you guys would like to become a member, I believe you have to do it through your browser at youtube.com and my channel, but I would really appreciate picking a tier and becoming a member, help support the channel so I can continue to do this every single day. Because we have an issue. Our two-party system is primarily the issue here, but also it's structured in a way that allows the perpetuation of capitalism. Unfortunately, we're far away from dismantling that system, but we have to kind of have stepping stones. We have to kind of allow ourselves to be in a position to make progress, right? if we're going to try and make progress, it's much more difficult to do so when we're going up against a guy who says we're going to end up in camps or is going to shoot us in the kneecaps. You know what I mean? If we protest. So that's part of it is choosing the lesser of two evils until you can get yourself in a position where you can make a difference.
But it's like
it let me become a member on my phone through the app. Oh, that's good, Jesse. I don't know. Some people say you have to do it through the whatchamacallit, through your browser. This guy's name is Donald Christ Trump. Jesus Christ.
Press has been
Donald Christ Trump. I want to tell you this right now. You're not going to heaven.
Asleep for so long that they've been getting away with more and more of it, and these are just sort of none of this surprises us.
And they're juicy stories. I mean, what's really unacceptable from our perspective as journalists, they've been avoiding for decades these juicy stories about corruption inside the government.
Yeah. And I think
I just want someone to ask Elon Musk the question, why should we trust you? Can someone just ask that question to him, please, and see what his answer is? This is why I would love to have a press pass. Please, God, give me a press pass. I would love to just be like, okay, can you tell us why we should trust you, Donald? Just really quick, why should we trust you? I'm not Donald Trump. Why should we trust you, Elon? I want to know why we should trust Elon Musk.
It's twofold. One is because they're sort of, they've become so jaundiced in favor of the bureaucracy. They don't want to ask any really tough questions. And then the other thing,
I think there's far more room for growth. You know what I mean?
Is that because Democrats have been in control, during the 8 years of the Obama administration, reporters asked almost zero questions in Washington. Yeah. They didn't want to challenge anything.
So Elon Musk warns Federal Reserve may face a Doge audit.
These are my favorite Republican Muppets. These are my favorite. The PPD podcast, man. I love these guys are so absolutely fucking insane that it's funny.
Okay, Elon.
Charcity, thank you so much for the $2 super chat. Feed Adam, not the troll. Thank you, Charcity. Appreciate you so much. Thank you for the support.
Elon Musk is wanting to go after.
You guys are wondering why people have those badges next to their name. It's because they're members. They're members of the channel. That's why they have the stars next to their name.
Federal Reserve next. He signaled that the Federal Reserve could face an audit by Doge, stating all aspects of the government must be fully transparent and accountable to the people, no exceptions, including, if not especially, the Federal Reserve.
All aspects of the government must be fully transparent. I don't know why he said transparable. I don't know what transparable is, but transparent and accountable to the people. No exceptions, including, if not especially, the Federal Reserve. Donald Trump wouldn't even release his tax returns. Donald Trump is the opposite of transparent. I mean, give me a break, people. Come on. This is fucking ridiculous.
Musk has long criticized the central bank, calling its workforce bloated and questioning its monetary policy decisions. Musk previously claimed that the Fed has a crazy high number of employees and criticized its handling of interest rates, stating in August that the Fed needs to drop rates and has been foolish not to have done so already. The Federal Reserve later cut rates in September, followed by additional cuts in November and December. Fed Chair Jerome Powell dismissed Musk's claim that the central bank is absurdly overstaffed, stating, "We run a very careful budget process and we're fully aware we owe that to the public. And we believe we do that." Rob, I think you got a clip of Jerome Powell, if you don't mind playing. Here's Jerome Powell.
Would you say that the Fed is overstaffed?
No, I would say that, overworked, maybe not overstaffed. Everybody at the Fed works really hard. It's a place where people work.
And a lot of this conversation right now about staffing numbers at different departments and agencies, it's going back to this sense of the taxpayer dollar, in terms of accountability there. But I guess I just want to ask you, is the Fed paid for by the taxpayer dollars? Can you explain to us what the burden is on the taxpayer?
So we're self-funding through our large balance sheet.
So when it comes to the staffing at the Federal Reserve, not coming from the taxpayers, is that right?
Indirectly, we give away all of our profits we give back to Treasury, and those profits would be higher if we didn't pay for the Fed. So in fairness, it's ultimately paid for by
what does that mean?
taxpayer.
Yeah, what
but
are they talking about?
In that sense, we're self-funded.
Self-funded.
Yeah.
Just one last question here. You talked about the different actors that are involved when it comes to levying tariffs in terms of paying that the exporter, the importer, the consumer. You said middlemen could be part of that. I guess I just wanted to ask you, do you know of any way in which to 100% guarantee that the consumers will not have to pay higher costs when it comes to tariffs?
Not really. It's not going to be easy to identify with any accuracy exactly where costs do fall, but I think it'd be hard to guarantee any particular outcome. I think we're just going to have to see.
Great, thank you.
Got it. So, by the way, the Federal Reserve has roughly 23,974 employees, and their operations are primarily funded by the interest they make off the securities they own. Okay, so that's kind of what he's talking about, where the additional money is being sent back to the Treasury. But, Adam, your thoughts on this story?
Well, I don't think it's any secret that Jerome Powell and Trump have had a long-standing beef. I believe that Trump, when he was in his first term in 2016-17, he would basically demand that Jerome Powell would lower the interest rates. Jerome Powell wouldn't do it. It was sort of immune from Trump's criticism. I believe Jerome Powell's tenure at the Fed is up.
How do guys with that aren't that intelligent, how do they get so popular? I don't understand that. You know what I mean? I grind pretty hard. Definitely smarter than all three of these guys. Not to brag, but definitely smarter. And they're popular. I don't get it. I hate to sound bitter, but goddamn.
In 2026, Trump appointed him, I believe, in 2016, and can you believe it's in 10 years later? And I think his term is coming up. But look, I think overall, if you had to give a grade to what Jerome Powell has done, I would say B+, A-. I would not say that he's done a bad job. The whole premise is the Fed should be immune from presidential directives and basically if Trump might feel a certain way and then all of a sudden he feels a certain way the next day, he's sort of holding down a steady ship, and I think he's doing a pretty decent job. We've gone through COVID. What's inflation at this point?
What do you think about Elon talking about accountability?
So as far as Elon goes, you know who can get it? Anybody can get it. I feel like every single institution, every single part of government should not be immune from going through this. You know how Santa has his list, his naughty and nice list, and he's checking his list and he's checking it twice. Every single part of government should be checked and double checked line by line.
And what if they're independent and taxpayers are not paying for it? What if there's a level of independence? Tom, do you think Doge has the jurisdiction to audit Federal Reserve, or do you think that's a little bit of, because of the way the money is being made, it's got to be a different level of accountability?
Well, I think Doge has the authority. And a lot of people say, well, Federal Reserve is really the fourth branch of government and they're somewhat autonomous. I mean, we've heard that dating back forever. Well, when Jerome Powell says, I think we run a very efficient operation, I think people are working very hard. Okay, maybe that's true. Let's say it's true. But the best run public companies still, by law, have to have an audit every year. Mm-hmm. If you're on the stock market, you have to have an audit. You have to publish your quarterly reports. And even the best run public companies find opportunities to improve. So the don't bother me part of this, and that's not exactly what he's saying, but it is what he means, is I disagree with very strongly. I think Doge has the ability to audit, and I think they should audit. Even the most best-run companies have an audit every year, so why shouldn't the Federal Reserve, especially with 23,000 employees? And by the way, I'd like to say something about what Powell said. Did you hear him at the end? He said, well, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where costs in the economy come from. Sure. You hear that? Yeah. Yet there's headlines out there saying Trump is causing inflation. So maybe Jen Psaki should go work for the Fed. Apparently she's figured it out. Mm-hmm. Whereas the Fed themselves is saying, man, it's not easy to identify with any accuracy where these costs are coming from. It's a little early. So, I think Doge has the authority, and I think they should.
Didn't we just show a video on Tuesday of Ben Bernanke not knowing where $500 billion went?
Yep.
And wasn't he the chairman of the Fed right before Janet Yellen, who was the chairman of the Fed right before Jerome Powell? So, listen, the whole premise of the Doge, Department of Government Efficiency, is accountability, and open up your books. Show me your books.
I'm just trying to see, Rob, can you do me a favor? Go on Google or do you have ChatGPT if you got it?
Yep.
Go on that and ask the question, does Doge have the jurisdiction to audit the Federal Reserve? Does Doge have the jurisdiction to audit the Federal Reserve?
Rob, you're a fantastic typer, by the way.
Thank you. Let's see here. Okay, zoom in a little bit. No. Doge does not have
You
the
had to fucking look
jurisdiction.
that up?
Affairs of independently enter U.S. government and is audit primarily conducted by the GAO, Government Accountability Office, which can audit certain aspects of the Fed, but it is restricted from auditing monetary policy. The Fed.
I can't believe it. They had to look that up. Does Doge have the authority to audit the federal government, the Federal Reserve? Oh my God almighty. It's a made-up agency. It doesn't exist.
Federal Reserve's own Inspector
The
General.
fact that they had to look that up is wild, bro.
General IG, who conducts the internal audit, which is pathetic.
Yeah.
External independent auditors who review the financial statements. Okay, so wouldn't Doge be an external, well, independent is what it is, of the Federal Reserve? It is independent of the Federal Reserve. If you mean Doge in reference to something else like...
It's like watching kids trying to figure out what's going on, Dan.
No, I'm talking about the Department of Government Efficiency. Okay,
Who do you
so
think
then
should
who
audit
does
it?
GAO, the Government Accountability Office, who has that? Who controls, who does GAO report to? Who does GAO report to? The Government Accountability Office reports directly to Congress. GAO is independent, nonpartisan. Congress agency, but sometimes so it's control of the United States, who leads the GAO president 15-year. Okay, so then, by the way, no, the only reason I'm looking at this is because I want that to happen.
Me
I'd
too.
like to see it. But you need to go through. I remember when Vivek was first getting started, he was saying a lot of this stuff that we can't do ourselves, that we have to go through Congress. This is what Vivek was talking about, that they're going to need some of these areas. They need Congress's help to be able to do that. Tom, am I spot on? Am I on track here with what I'm talking about?
Absolutely. And as a matter of fact, there's something that impresses me here, and I'm gonna throw a golden thank you in your direction. You were always trying to educate everyone at PHP at the big conferences. You had people that would come in from different things. We had, politicians came in and talk. It was Santorum came there one year, but the year before you had a Comptroller General of the United States, David Walker, came and talked. And so you've tried to educate this. But the way I read this is David Walker, is appointed by the president. So in other words, Congress, the GAO may report to Congress, but the comptroller is appointed by the president. That's what it just said there, right? So there's like the check and balance of our government, right? That, okay, Congress will, is the power of the purse, and the GAO reports to Congress, but over here, the president will appoint the comptroller general who leads it, and that's part of our checks and balances. So I think when you peel this back, there is purview for Doge on the Federal Reserve. It may not be literal, you report to me, but I think there's a clear path here for auditing.
But I don't think it can go through Doge, is what I'm trying to say. I think there's a part of it, where for Elon is, and he's pulling it off right now, working with Trump, is, okay, there's certain things as a doer that you're going to get done because you control it and you trust your instincts, right? Trusting your instincts and intuition, most people don't have a high score on that. Instincts and intuition, great. This area, even if it's high instinct, high intuition, you still need Congress. You're going to need to go sell Congress on this idea. And I don't know what percentage you need. I don't know how it's going to work out to be able to get it done. But I would want to do an audit and find out what's going on with Federal Reserve. Let me give you the big announcement. March 4th, 3 p.m. to 4 p.m., put it in your calendar. We're announcing a massive upgrade to Minect. If you have not yet downloaded the app and used it, for some of you that are...
Shut up, dude. Jesus Christ. Birdie, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Des Muppets have room temp IQ. Thank you for the $2.79 super chat. Appreciate it. Appreciate it, Birdie. I just posted something on Substack. RFK is one of the most dangerous individuals ever confirmed to high-level government. If you're on my Substack, go check out my post. I just wanted to write something about this, about how he's going to undermine decades of progress in public health, and I'm ashamed of my country today. I'm ashamed of my country. And I am. I'm ashamed of my country today. Ashamed. Guys, I'm going to go eat lunch. I'll be back on later for sure. So I will see you later, but I want to go eat. I'm starving. I hope you guys have a wonderful day until I see you again. Take care of yourselves. Guys, do me a big favor. When the live ends, not when it's still live, when the live chat is gone and it's just a regular video, please go back to the video, leave a comment, leave a thumbs up. I would appreciate it. Engage with it. All right? It would really help if you did that, to engage with these videos once they become videos. Okay? I would really, really appreciate that. All right? Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it. I'll see you soon. Make sure you guys come back later. Make sure you also have your notification bells on so that way you guys know when I go live. I also send stuff out on Instagram, Discord. You know, I try and post as many places as I can to let people know I'm live. But guys, also go check out my Substack post about RFK. I'll see you later, everybody.